Welcome back to the SMITE Minor League, everybody. You just saw a little ad there for Hi-Rez Expo. If you haven't bought your tickets yet, if you haven't gone to hirezexpo.com and bought your tickets for the 15th to the 17th, you're an idiot, man. I don't know what to tell you. That's what production told me to say. I'm not being toxic. I just read what they say. I don't necessarily agree with it, but I kind of do in this instance. Buy your tickets. Be smart. That's what I'm saying. Aggro joined on the desk here by Zeros. This is going to be the most mid-lane-centric, big-brain desk we could ever have, man. This picks and ban Zeros, we're going to be complaining about junglers and support stealing our farm. We'll be talking about how Amy's OP.
Yes.
All this kind of stuff I'm looking forward to, and I'm looking forward to this matchup as well. Outcold's been playing a lot better as of late, kind of playing to what we expected from this squad at the beginning of the year.
Yeah. Like with the kind of player they have, either FrostiaK, PrettyPriMe, and Dimi. I think at one point in their career, I think all of them three has been like as the best player in the role, you know.
Yeah.
To me, it's kind of weird that they haven't like just been completely dominated EU SML this season so far.
I think we're all there with you. We kind of expected that. In Phase 1, they got dominated a lot of the time. Now, they're in control of their own destiny, it feels like, and actually make it to LAN, and we'll see if they can do it against a tough Horizon Union squad who's certainly on the up and up. Picks and bans begin. In Outcold Gaming, do you agree, Zeros, that second pick's at a big disadvantage right now? Because there's so many things you have to ban?
I don't know. I think it was one set last week in SPL where they left Isis and Amy up and another strong picks. Like, I think as second pick, I think you should leave some of the strong picks open to like make sure you get two and trade it for one maybe.
Right.
So I'm not 100% sure if first pick is better.
Yeah, it just kind of usually that comes down to, is the top pick that much better that they're better than the next two combined? And that kind of remains to be seen. Horizon Union take one really strong pick off the board, at least in that Persephone, but the thought there as well. And Outcold do leave a couple strong picks on the table here. Set still open, Amaterasu still open. Those are the two that jump off the page to me. But Horizon Union take Thor right away, and that is a god that FrostiaK plays well.
Yeah, that is for sure. Amaterasu and Set is open here. Yeah, there's the Amaterasu. I think we're gonna see a Set there too, right?
That would put Amaterasu probably in support for Breez, but you love that. You want that Ama around the map as much as you can. Yeah, Ama Set is real good right now. So we can kick our legs up. I mean, this draft is over, man. You see Ama Set on one side. You're feeling pretty good about it. Khepri certainly strong. But, man, Horizon Union certainly an uphill battle, I think, at this rate. I like their top three, though. Good control, good CC, and a great late game in the Chronos.
For sure. I really like those three picks from Horizon as well. Like, Amaterasu Set really good, but then the Set, when it comes to late game, I don't think is, like, the best anymore, you know? It's really good early mid-game, but, like, if you look at Horizon, all those three picks, really good late game, so this could kind of go either way, I think.
Interesting. Geb pickup for Outcold, so that means Set not going into support. Do you think we're going to see, or Amaterasu rather, so it could be Ama solo, Set jungle, or Set in the long lane or mid. That doesn't seem like a Prime god to me, though. I don't think Prime's playing Set. Do you like Ama jungle? We've seen some teams experiment with it.
I haven't really seen it in action yet, but like it should be good, I think. Like her level 1 is insane. What's the base damage on the Tuna? Like
140, I think. Yeah.
Pretty good.
Is that good? I don't know.
With her passive on top of that as well, so like she's insane level 1. It could definitely be Amaterasu jungle maybe.
Okay, Izanami picked up here. This is probably going to be for PrettyPriMe in that mid lane. We're starting to see a little bit more Iza, especially at EU Minor League, and it makes sense, right? I mean, your 3v3 has to be strong. She fights well. She clears great.
She clears pretty great, yeah.
I mean, you don't have to use any mana. It seems pretty solid to me. Osiris there. That's a pretty good counter pick against the Izanami, though. And Ullr. So Horizon Union, you look at those 5 gods, I think you're pretty happy.
That's a solid draft, honestly. I really like that. Ullr late game, not like the greatest in my opinion, but so much early pressure, and combined with the CC from Thor and Khepri as well, I think their 3-on-3 is insanely strong.
And Olorun picked up, so it's going to be Set or Ama jungle, the other one that isn't in jungle in solo lane, and then Iza mid, Olorun ADC it looks like. Outcold, I mean, we kind of said it was over when you see Ama Set. Do you agree when you see the whole thing?
I don't know. I think both drafts are super similar when it comes to team fights, but I don't know. The gap can prevent a lot, right? Because it can prevent this setup from Khepri, Thor, and Ullr, so it could go either way.
This one could go either way with the players as well, it feels like. Game 1, Horizon Union Outcold. Let's throw it to the casters.
Thanks, Aggro. Thanks, Zeros there on the desk. It's Finch and Hindu Man as we move into Horizon Union up against Outcold, and this match is a big one for Outcold. Right now, the standings are locked up 6-2, but they're very tough for simplicity, but Flashpoint Outcold are right there behind them at 5-3. So every match for the rest of this phase is going to be critical, and Horizon Union have been improving lately, Hindu. I know their record's not great, but they've been playing better.
And that's a good point. I mean, Horizon Union had some roster changes too, because last time these guys faced off, it was a 2-0 in favor of Outcold Gaming, where Dimi did go. I believe it was 5-0 and 12 on set, but he's not going to be playing set this game. He's going to be in the Ama, which I do like him on the Amaterasu, to be honest, as Breez looking for an invade early.
That's right. He's on the Gebs. This is going to be more about wasting time than confirming the objective.
Nah,
The Abductor's actually a bit early, so Shockwave could have gotten in there, and it absolutely does. Breez steals away the objective. That's more, I think, on Astyaniax not playing that properly, really more than Breez being nuts or anything like that. But
listen,
he does indeed steal the speed.
I'm always rooting for a Geb, okay?
Sure.
I'm always rooting for a Geb. I got 3 stars on that character now. I didn't even realize it until just lately.
Well, Geb's really, really good. And,
tell me more.
This is not the part of the game where we typically love our Gebs, but later on he will be a monster. As that time the Abduct really just trying to get him close to Breez so they can hang out. Axe off the mark here from Echrome as well, and this is not a poor use of his time.
No, this is great. I mean, he already got speed, so he's already up in experience more than he expected to be at the stage
Usually
of the game.
he's at 0
Yeah.
and fine with it.
He's just going to wander around, keep buying time. That means Echrome's not farming. He's losing a whole minion wave in mid lane. The juke boosts are good. Remember, the speed boost is helping him out quite a bit. So, end of the day, Echrome gets a first blood, so he lost a wave in mid, but earns 400 gold for the pleasure with the first blood. Kind of balances out.
Maybe. I don't know, man. I feel like you want to be in mid lane farming it up and in the jungle getting camps. You don't want to die there when you're the support doing that. Anything short of that is still worth, but you definitely do not want to die for that first blood if you're that Guardian that's out there trying to do these new starts that have become all the rage. But elsewhere on the map, FrostiaK had a really easy time picking up his own speed, moving into the jungle. I mean, he's had a free and clear time without having to worry about the enemy support.
And that's what you're looking at Frosty now to maybe step up a little bit more in this game, knowing he's got a bit more of a window of farming up now. And the thing is, though, he's playing set, so early game set, you're really just looking at farming to the best of your ability, get to that mid-stage game. I see set as a very similar state as Kali in terms of very, very good in the hyper late game situations, but can be shut down heavily by CC. And if you can get things rolling in the early game, as Breez is doing right now, you can have a hard time.
Well, there's the steroid coming out from PrettyPriMe, which means the auto should be there. No, it's Breez with a blink rock to the back of the head for Astyaniax. That's old school. The way that you take that one down, and they end up trading out the kills.
Got a speed, got a kill, and he's still level 1. That's the support right there.
That's the support life nowadays of Season 6 only. You know, I honestly don't know that it's ever been rougher for supports. We hear mid laners whining all the just whinging constantly, but for supports it's
whining and complaining about how little farm they get. Imagine being a pauper at the bottom ranks all the time. Please, sir, can you spare a crumb? Spare a little bit of the archer minion, just one for me?
And then they're like, no, I can't. I don't know. I had to split it with the jungler. Yeah, Mint miss me with it, with all the complaining.
I like casting with you. You side with supports. That's not normal.
No, that's the true life out there, man. I really do think that support's oftentimes the most important players, second perhaps to junglers.
At the moment, the pros are actually talking about how the rank scene is and the fact that more supports can actually carry now, which is not something that we've been able to say since around Season 2.
That's right.
The days of the Hand of the God situation, where you had the opportunity to secure a buff when your team was awful. Now, though, a lot of impact's being made with these supports as they can really turn the tide of a battle. Always have been able to have that opinion. But it's started to change as of late, where people are noticing more.
Yeah, it did. Used to require maybe a couple of outside steps to follow them up, but now it's right more directly in the hands of these supports. The early start does seem to have favored Outcold a bit. About 500 gold or so out in front, and that's even with giving up the first blood early on when Breez took that spill. So far it has not been bad for them at all. They've got Spudio on this Olorun in the long lane, farming up. They've got an Izanami that's going to be so much shred later in the game for them too, and then an Ama and a Geb to support them both. I mean, this is a really scary draft that Outcold have.
Olorun was what, last pick for Outcold Gaming in this
Not
draft
bad.
too. It's a really good situational pickup because if you look at what Horizon Union are running here, their CC Immune ultimates aren't really going to make much of a difference against that field that's going to come into play around the objectives that Olorun's going to bring in. You're looking for the likes of Vamana, the CC Immune ult, to chase him down. Look at Horizon Union, what they got. They've got to have a Thor ult to the sky and a rewind out of Chronos. I actually think there's a lot of pressure on Mr. Stefan this game. If this game goes late, he's going to have to perform and get to that high pick carry point to really shut down some of the carries of this team. But when he gets to that point, he's then going to have to deal with an Amaterasu, which is never an easy task.
It really does feel like they're counting on Markus, Echrome, and Astyaniax to get off to an early start and then kind of baton pass that lead over to Mr. Stefan on that Chronos. And I just don't know that that's going to be enough for them. I mean, even though this 3v3 for Outcold is going to be a lot slower, that's true. So far, Outcold haven't played like it at all. They have been aggressive and active in the jungle so far. So Horizon Union got to turn it up around these ultimates.
Yeah, I'm looking at the composition that that Horizon Union put together here, because Terrorem this time around and Markus, they were on the team last time they faced off against Outcold Gaming. I believe it was Fakeozo and Original who was on this, and they didn't have the easiest time. They ran Osiris in the jungle. Now Osiris in the solo lane here, and he's under pressure now.
Dimi and Breez here, not a ton of kill potential, but this is more about this blue buff invade that's happening. FrostiaK makes it in, strips that one away, and the set able to get away pretty freely. And 0-0 and 0, set has no problem with this being how the first 6 minutes of the game have gone.
No, we were just going to let me farm as much as possible. And every single time Markus isn't able to look for a gank or an early kill opportunity, it's going to allow FrostiaK to continue farming, but he's got to be careful here.
They were lurking around the corner, but fortunately, looks like he had the read and gets away from the hammer or the wall, over the wall, and manages to make it out of there without too much trouble. He'll have a chance to back, and it looks like he is potentially considering going a very similar build path to what we see from our sets in the short lane as well, with this Shillelagh picked up and a Blackthorn very likely to come afterwards.
It needs to be a tier 3 item, that, just for its name. I keep saying that.
Sick name, isn't it?
It's a wasted name. You know, on a tier 2 item, you don't get to say it enough.
That's 200 health and 15 power, though. That's not so bad.
It's not a bad thing to complain about at all. The health is most important there. I mean, interesting where he ends up going with this. Is more than likely going to be Blackthorn Hammer. Cooldown reduction, mana regen, 2 things that, well, every jungler, every assassin would love to have in their build if they can fit it in. But bonus of the health involved in this item as well is going to allow him to weather the storm a little bit more in these engagements. There's a little bit of burst damage out of Horizon Union, but if you can survive the burst, then the consistent poke damage isn't there to really speak of. And that's going to give him a bit more time to turn that around, pop the Kingslayer, get some regen going.
Critical there for him. I mean, we hear it a lot from our pros nowadays that when you're against set, anti-heal is going to be pretty critical as well, because when he's in that Kingslayer, he's able to sustain through those fights so well. That's how a lot of his highlight reel plays get made. So look to see Markus, and that was his first ultimate of the game and found nothing, by the way. Look to see him building things like Brawlers and maybe even something like that for Echrome as Cataclysm off the mark from Breez.
Like the idea from Breez to go for the Cataclysm, because they sniffed out the ultimate being used in the Fire Giant pit. There's a ward down there is the reason. And so that gave full vision to Outcold Gaming what was going on. They try and find a turnaround pick immediately onto Thor. You can still get pressured here.
That could potentially be a big deal, though. That first Anvil of Dawn, usually so impactful as FrostiaK starts to have a little bit of a skirmish here in the jungle. Dimi's already wrapped around. This is, again, more about the blue buff than anything else, and the buff successfully invaded here by Outcold. Now it's time for the disengage, making out like bandits in the night.
And what you see out of Outcold Gaming here is they're sending 3 members to the solo lane, invading the blue consistently, finding the blue and not getting poked out or punished anywhere else. Horizon Union's decision-making here is a little bit, what do you want out of them? It's like, do you go and contest the blue? If you do, you need to find a result there, or you should be looking to pressure elsewhere on the map. Instead, it's Outcold pressuring.
Spudio has already used the Sanctified Field, and that cuts off the escape path for Echrome. He manages, though, to get that Axe Stance leap out, but now Mr. Stefan can't get the rewind off in time, stuck inside the damage from Spudio, and Prime gets the kill.
Spudio got so much damage off in that engagement that I didn't expect. The Sanctified Field did some good zone work to push Echrome into an awkward spot, but it's Mr. Stefan who ends up dying because he overextends to support his mid laner. Good rotation out of Outcold and heavily punished by Horizon. Good rotation out of Outcold and not punished by Horizon.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Horizon Union would probably rather Echrome have died there than Mr. Stefan. You want this Chronos farming in the long lane as much as possible. And even though we talked about how Echrome and Markus are going to be critical in this early game, that hasn't really panned out here for them so far. We're 9 minutes in. The first ultimate from Markus didn't find much, and their only kill was on to Breez way back by tier 2.
A lot of that really is on Breez's invade at the start of the game that caused them to be a little bit discombobulated in that middle area. They went to red buff and then carried on a chase instead of continuing to farm and pressure. They could have looked for some poke potential on this Izanami a little bit earlier if they would have had that opportunity. But with the state of affairs now, Outcold Gaming are in a comfortable position here early on.
Oof.
As Prime gets away.
That could have potentially been huge. Breez just not quite there in time to save the beads, but does get there in time to make sure that Prime makes it back out of there without any real trouble. And I've been gassing up Ullr in mid and all his pressure, but Izanami's clear speed is nothing to laugh at, and I feel like her ultimate gives her decent presence in these mid fights. How do you like Izanami in the 3v3?
Well, we've seen Izanami through the years be attempted to be played in a different couple of metas, and she never really came to fruition. I'll come back to that in a second, though, because the blue buff invade's coming once more.
And this time, Horizon Union are here in greater numbers. 3 members, and Astyaniax has a nice CC chain onto Dimi, but a Geb shield makes it look like it didn't even happen. Dimi goes right back to the blue buff and is able to get the confirm. In comes Breez. That's a nice res, though, from Astyaniax to keep him alive, but I don't know how Markus can reposition. Oh. He barely gets to the hammer, and they don't have the damage over the wall. Somehow, FrostiaK made it back out.
Oh, Terrorem could continue that chase on FrostiaK there, because Echrome was rotating, but I think with Prime being there, it was enough to dissuade the engagement. Blue buff ends up going down. Not actually sure who ended up getting that.
I think it was Outcold. At least Dimi has one, so yeah, that makes
I couldn't see the blue on him at first. I was like, where's the blue buff gone?
It's just, Amaterasu is almost like Serqet in that she can confirm the buff in your face because she does so much burst all at once to that camp. So I think that's what Dimi did there. Just kind of stepped in, trust is confirmed, and took the buff.
Going back to the Izanami in mid, though, I think the pressure that she can exert is pretty substantial. Her early game is lackluster, and her wind-up on her escape on the 3.
It's slow,
It takes a little bit of a wind-up time there, which can cause some issues. Now, the stealth component of that, very, very impactful. But it's very much specific to what gods are in the game. If there's a Jormungandr in there, you can't really be running that. It kind of gets in a bit of a way because of the fact he can sniff out stealth a little bit more so. The silence from the ultimate, though, you mentioned that, it's a very good ult.
It is a good ult,
The problem is the area of the circle is just a small window. And a lot of people like big circles in Smite. That's a baby circle.
Well, didn't it used to be even smaller, this Izanami ultimate? And we had to be widened out because, you know, Smite's hard Prime takes half his HP. And I still do think that does somewhat hurt Izanami, but it's really her dash that I have to imagine is meant to be more of an engage tool. That's how slow it is. You're meant to kind of, before the fight, go into the stealth and try and weasel your way in.
But then if you do that, then you're overextended with no escape.
You are.
Your only escape is damage.
It's hard to pick the spots of Izanami for sure.
I will say, Iz is just an awkward god because she's got a lot of weird balancing things, such as her auto attacks, double tap, which is fantastic, but then you're staying in combat a little bit longer. You're staying slowed on your basic attacks longer than a normal carry would be. And that can put you in an awkward spot for positioning, which means if you're going to play, you're going to have very, very good position to begin with.
This time, the blue buff finally goes to Horizon Union.
You know why, though, Finch? Where's the rest of the team?
They're not here this time.
I expect they're going to go to gold here if they see this many people over here.
Dimi is in some serious trouble. He's already used Dazzling Offensive, and he's going to die for it this time. So now Outcold will head over towards that Gold Fury, but they have to be quick about this one. Thor can rotate quickly with the Anvil of Dawn. Gold Fury at half HP. Mr. Stefan, the only one around, uses the beads to get past the Cataclysm, but it's not enough. Gold Fury goes to the Chaos team.
Into the sky, though. Here we go. Markus is up, looking for a gank. Look towards FrostiaK, but can find it. The stun from Stefan off the Mark II, and a good little jump away to one of the clones of FrostiaK gets him into a safer spot, and now Markus is in trouble.
Oh my god, so much damage coming out from Spudio was almost enough, but Markus just barely, slowly walks his way out of that. He was very confident to hold on to the beads, I would say, in that spot. But that was Spudio being there at the Sanctified Field to help out.
Yeah, and Outcold just playing the right thing at the right times here. They pressured blue consistently. Horizon Union get there early this time, set up a defense, and Outcold go, okay, you're going to send that many members over there. Dimi's going to die. He'll deal with that. He's Amaterasu. He's still already level 13 at the moment anyway. Don't worry about that, him dying. We'll get a Gold Fury in response. It makes Dimi feel worthwhile as well. His death becomes a Gold Fury, so the team overall gets a win.
And really, Dimi probably had a chance to make it back out of there, but just well done by Horizon Union to commit and at the very least get that one pick to try and slow them down. But as I was pointing out early, this anti-heal's starting to come through. Contagion there for Terrorem, the Brawler's Beat Stick for Markus, as we were considering as well. And it's not just FrostiaK. Spudio has consistent healing that is worth trying to mitigate, as does the Amaterasu when she switches between that red and yellow on that first ability.
Standard, just overall, everybody has some sort of sustain in the kit. If they don't have sustain in the kit, you'll normally find they'll buy an item that gives them some sustain. So always limiting those options is definitely an impactful thing as time goes on. I would like to see more cursed arms in the game overall. I don't think it's picked up enough for what it can warrant in certain fights and situations. Maybe not in this one specifically, though. Although if Spudio groups everybody up and drops the 3 down on everybody, then they're all going to get a huge debuff of bonus damage to them.
I think we finally got to the point where there's just a lot of really good relics. I feel like that is one that kind of took a little bit of a time.
Beads is still God, though.
Beads are up there, but so is Blink and Frenzy.
Oh,
and
yeah.
There's just a lot that you have to have right now as Breez is in the CC chain, but he's okay. And now FrostiaK can pick his spot, and I don't know if Markus has the hammer, so he has to spin to try and box it. It's not enough. Dimi is the one that cuts him down to size.
Asti kind of dropped the ball there. He had his ultimate available. I think he was waiting for the right burst damage, but he just didn't pop it in time.
Yeah, that's no good, is that? Yeah, you gotta
His
do that.
His position was perfect there, but I think he was trying to make sure that it got actually absorbed so he could reposition him. In doing so, he took a little bit more burst than bargained for, and there you go, Markus is dead.
It's almost like holding your damage to try and confirm an objective. As
hold
Breez
that.
blinks in, Cataclysm, Astyaniax is the target. Echrome trying to help from the outside, and it has worked for now. And remember, Astyaniax still has the Scarab's Blessing, but I don't know that it'll come to it.
Thebes, baby! That's all that was. Like, fully stacked Thebes at that moment in time just gave him so much bonus resistances.
And the Greaves.
That was a really good combo from Breez in mid into the Cataclysm. You had PrettyPriMe follow-up too. If anything, I think they went for the burst option there more than anything else, instead of maybe going for a bit more sustained damage against that Khepri, because they dropped the stun and the silence from the Izanami at the same time. It kind of limited the CC options after that.
I also don't know if the body blocking was quite as clean as it needed to be. I think he was able to get a dash out of there somehow.
Yeah.
And that's pretty tough in that spot if you're Khepri to line that up. It's a wide model you're trying to squeeze through, so that also could be a little bit better.
Some of that definitely was down to the fact that they went for burst, though. Because if they were going for the sustained damage, they probably would have positioned a little bit better. Looking for a quick cheeky pick before Markus gets back involved wasn't to be, but I like the idea.
And then go for it more often. Relic Dagger now for Breez, so that means the Blink going to be up all the time. A little bit of cooldown there, too, so that means that the ultimate cooldown will obviously be shorter as a result. I've kind of liked that Relic Daggers become almost staple on these supports nowadays. It really allows them to be more active.
Well, it's got cooldown reduction, movement speed, 2 things that you definitely want if you can get hold of it, but more importantly, the health on that 300 health is nothing to, forget about whatsoever.
Nope.
Because the main line, you've got to look at your base stats that you're getting from an item before you look at the passives. I think a lot of people get absorbed with what the passive does, because passives do make a big impact, sure. But sometimes the base stats can lead you to wanting to pick up this passive or play around or with this passive. And the passive from Relic Dagger, giving you a little bit more cooldown reduction on your relics, can really make an important change in the game. Specifically when you're playing the support too, because your relics are generally there for the supportive options.
Yeah, usually it's a Frenzy that's made that combo so potent, but it's Shell and Blink this time for Breez. Not to mention, by the way, on Relic Dagger, talk about how sick it is even more. It's cheap, dude. You're getting Relic Dagger relatively easily, and you don't have a whole lot of extra cash if you're a support, so it's just an all-around great item there for them. But look at FrostiaK's build. Blackthorn into the Frostbound Hammer, very much reminiscent of that solo lane build for the set.
Looks like he's going Katana next as well, which means he's going to zoom every time he auto-attacks and slow you down when he attacks you. Not only that, I believe it's attack speed on the Frostbound Hammer as well that you lose, so he's just going to limit a little bit more of what maybe this Chronos and this Ullr will be able to do with those basic attacks, which is good against a traditional double hunter composition to an extent.
Well, it has made it clear, right, that that's FrostiaK's plans, to get back there towards Echrome, get back there towards Mr. Stefan, and try and shut those guys down as Gold Fury begins. Though this time it looks like it might be the sister, the Oni Fury, is the one that's here.
I thought Thor was in the sky there for a second. I thought Markus was positioned perfectly to look for an ult. But at the moment, it's going to be a bit of a dance-off here. Expect to see Outcold engage the Gold Furies, the Oni Furies we see, and it's all about the Sanctified Field, and if they can force them to use it early and reset that.
Breez blinks in, finds 2 with that Cataclysm, and Echrome way in the back of the fight is in some trouble. He has FrostiaK on top of him. The Sanctified Field did come out early, and that's a lot of big damage from Spudio. Astyaniax finds the Scarab's Blessing on himself, but it doesn't save Mr. Stefan, who ends up falling in the back.
Terrorem getting juggled in the air over and over. Spudio gets a double kill. Astyaniax going to jump in to try and protect his carry, but his carry's not going to live either. The Aegis will wear off. FrostiaK gets the last kill as 2 double kills there for Outcold. And an Oni Fury.
And this is how Outcold are going to have to look, man, because this team's aspirations to me are to try and make it not just to land, but to make noise when they get there.
Yep.
This is a roster that I think could absolutely fight for one of those 2 spots and make it back out. And when you have clean fights like what we just saw, that's how you put everybody else on notice. That was nuts, the way they controlled Terrorem there. So much damage from Spudio as well. And then FrostiaK, his set was just a monster that fight.
You're not surprised, though, to be talking about this Outcold roster and going, there's a chance of them making the World Championships, you know?
In Phase 1, Week 1, I thought that, but then they stunk, if I'm being honest, and they've improved since then, and now we're finally there.
Well, you'll find Finch stories over the seasons as they go on. The pros generally take a siesta, so to speak, in spring, and to an extent it starts to kick into gear in summer where they wake up and start to play the SMITE we're expecting. Because at the early start, it's all about working out what team you're going to be with, what the meta style is going to be. Do we need to make sure the focus is on mid lane or support? And that normally doesn't really get worked out until around summer. And to be fair, by the time World Championships roll around, the meta's changed drastically since then anyway.
Yep.
But you really see everyone pick up a gear in the second half, and that's kind of what Outcold are trying to do. But it might be too little too late if they're not careful.
And it hasn't hurt them that Flashpoint have struggled a little bit of late.
Definitely.
They had a tough loss last week as well. I believe that was Exordium they dropped to for their first set victory. So Outcold are right back in the thick of it when really they maybe shouldn't have been without some outside help. They've got to keep executing like this, and they can earn that spot.
Outcold Gaming, though, I mean, they've got 3 members that have been to the World Championships before, and one of them was a substitute prepared to play the World Championships in Spudio. It's only really Breez that hasn't, had an opportunity to get anywhere near that.
And that's just at our game. In Heroes of the Storm, he was a top-tier player.
Yeah, so he's got the, he understands what a MOBA is and how it goes about. This is a good squad from Outcold. They've just struggled getting it together so far this year, but at the tail end, still got a shot, and that's all you can really hope for at this moment now.
I think you have hit the nail on the head with Breez. So let's see what his play is here in this next fight as well. The Tier 1 tower down. FrostiaK way off on the left to keep Markus out of this. So it's going to be a 4v4. In fact, FrostiaK wins this 1v1, and Markus recognizing it has to leave. So the rest of Outcold threatening the Tier 2. I say threatening, more like demolishing. It is gone.
I'm actually surprised to see FrostiaK didn't go for the katana either. Instead, went for a little bit more defense, which I like the idea of here instead. He had the option to go for the chase potential, but I think Frostbound was going to do that with the slows anyway. So why not just get some protections to go alongside that health, and as well as get some damage too. Now the Outcold just going to use this Fire Giant to chip away at some of these towers. Tier 1, Tier 2. We need to see an engage at Horizon Union very soon out of them. Otherwise, this game's just going to continue to domino effects of snowball out of control, where the gap's going to be too big. It's already at 10k. And it's not going to let up soon unless they do something. I
love stone cutting here for this set. He doesn't have pen anywhere else, so that kind of covers that gap for him a bit. As Outcold now considering pushing into the Tier 2 and left. They have the FG here with them for another minute and a half, and that's why the Frenzy's been popped. Tier 2 tower goes down, and Horizon Union not willing to commit. But they have wasted some time. Only another minute for Outcold to try and find a Phoenix.
I think it was kind of limited on their commitment options because FrostiaK was in the jungle making sure Markus was in combat and forced to ult early if he wanted to, which would have given the telegraph sign to Outcold that he was on the way. But here we go.
Breez is in. Cataclysm comes out. Shockwave there to follow up. Spudio has already used the Sanctified Field, but I think they've already done their job. This Phoenix left-hand side comes down, but Markus has come diving in as well. Forced to leave. There's the rewind from Mr. Stefan, and Spudio way in the back has time to send in some autos.
And Terrorem just trying to frontline as long as he can. Great revive from Khepri, but as soon as he lands, Terrorem still forced to run away. Shell popped. Horizon Union back away. Outcold, though, straight rotation towards mid, although a Fury's coming up soon.
This has been a very clean game from Outcold. I don't think we've seen them look quite this clean yet. I mean, now they are against Horizon Union. This is a matchup where they're favored, but this is a team with a ton of talent on it here, this Horizon Union squad that's been looking better. So I don't want to take anything away from Outcold. They're just playing well.
Completely agree. And I think if you look at how the game really broke down, level 1 invade from Breez. He steals away the speed and buys time. Consistent invades at blue buff on the solo lane that turns into a gold fury because of the pressure. And from that moment on, the lead was enough for Outcold to be like, okay, we can fight when we want to. We'll dictate the fights. Get a Fire Giant, and now there's a Phoenix down.
Pyromancer at the very least does go the way of Horizon Union, and I do mean at the very least. that they could have gotten there in response to everything that Outcold just took. And they took the most valuable Phoenix that they could grab. I was asking Zeros earlier on, if you like, what about mid Phoenix or right side Phoenix? How much less valuable are they? And he's like, if it's really late, it's almost like nothing. You really want left Phoenix at this point. So this is still early enough where I think any of the Phoenixes would have helped, but it just goes to show what a premium there is on this left.
Especially without global rotations on the team too.
Yeah.
Horizon Union doesn't have any of those. They're going to have to rely on Terrorem to maybe TP over to a fight if there's one of the Fire Giant, if he's defending this left-hand side. But in doing that, you need him there to be a front line, because where is your front line? If there's no Osiris there, what front line have you got to speak of?
Not really
Khepri!
much at all. Khepri can't really do that kind of job, you know?
Makes it very, very tricky, and that's why left-hand, the one furthest away from the Fire Giant objective, always going to be the most beneficial one. Like you said, though, if Zeros is saying, like, anyone late game doesn't matter, it's the same way, you know? You can put in pressure somewhere.
You certainly could. In fact, there's a chance it could be a detriment to you, because you could be guaranteeing farm for the team that's behind.
Completely agree.
By way of that Fire Minion wave, so obviously you'd rather get it than not, but just a little bit of nuance, I guess, to consider.
Any Phoenix is better than no Phoenix, but the furthest Phoenix away from the Fire Giant is definitely better than any Phoenix.
Yes,
there we go.
by a significant margin, it would seem, as Dimi is on frontlining duty. He's the one here with the Frenzy. This has been a bit more in vogue lately, is shifting the Frenzy duties over to the solo laner.
Don't necessarily need the they don't need another relic most of the time. These frontliners like Warriors, like an Amaterasu, she's got everything else she needs in the kit. Stefan forced to rewind here.
That does cost Dimi the Dazzling Offensive, but I think that's worth it as Markus takes to the sky, and he doesn't really have a particularly great target. He comes towards FrostiaK, and that's more for the Magai's cloak bubble than anything else. Not a ton of kill potential there by himself. So a lot of stuff used, but no one really in that much trouble.
It was a similar relic situation between the two carries for once upon a time, because Echrome in mid didn't have his Aegis available. Same can be said for Spudio, and I think both teams were kind of waiting for those relics to come up before a full commit happened. End of the day, though, Stefan forced to rewind and beads. Stefan's in trouble here if he gets picked by anyone.
And FrostiaK's right there waiting on him if he steps too far forward. Fire Giant low, but they've decided to leash it. Two-man ultimate does come out for Prime, but it's on the tanks, and it's Stefan who's low. They're forced to use the Scarab's Blessing on him early. Spudio's ultimate comes out as well, but that feels a bit late. But in comes Dimi with a ton of damage that cuts down Mr. Stefan. Both the carries in trouble. Echrome barely gets the leap off, but Outcold have run this fight.
And take into account the Fire Giant still stands. They get a tier 2 tower because the minion wave pressures down. They can run on for a Phoenix or even look to try and end the game there. Stefan gets help from so many sources there that it ends up keeping him alive longer than he intended. Shell came up, which allowed Dimi to get the full channel of ult and wait for the cooldown of Khepri to end.
They should be able to grab this right side. Phoenix, remember the left side still being threatened by minions as FrostiaK's quite low. Hail of Arrows off the mark. He manages to make his way out of there. Spudio can now do some out-of-combat healing for the squad and try and keep them topped off, because someone's got to get over to left lane and keep this Phoenix standing.
Yeah, because as you see, the ping's already down and the fire minions will do the donkey's work for you there on the left-hand side. There's 2 more waves there minimum. I think it might even be 3, funny enough, with that Phoenix being up on the left. But now the right one's down too. This is Needs' chance for Outcold to go and get the Fire Giant. They played this very well game 1.
This has been so clean. You know what? When I cast SML and console, sometimes I can feel the difference from when I'm casting SPL, just in like the way I'm speaking about the game and the flow of it. This has felt like the flow of a confident SPL team today from Outcold, man. It has been clean. Everything they're doing has worked for them so far. They haven't lost anything unnecessarily. I mean, really, if you throw away Breez's death in the early game, it's been 1 death since then. And that's about it.
And when you look at Horizon Union, sure, the score difference tells you the sort of tale, but if you look at the jungle, Thor and an Ullr in mid, and we've not seen any sort of pressure around those 2 characters for the whole game. They've been on the back foot. They've been playing reactionary to an Outcold gaming team that actually should be playing reactionary themselves with the composition they've drafted. With a Geb and the likes of an Olorun and the set, they want to be playing reactionary every time. But Horizon Union haven't been engaging, and yet Outcold are still winning? Wait, my mind's blown. I don't get it.
And it might seem small, but that first ultimate from Markus, I think it was around level 7. We didn't get to see what it was that made him go up, but we saw him come right back down. Obviously, it wasn't there for him. That first ultimate from Thor is so critical a lot of the times of starting to establish your pressure, maybe getting you red buff control or something like that, forcing away beads. But they got virtually nothing out of it.
I get what you mean, because I see it like a Sylvanas pull, right? If you land your first Sylvanas pull, you're in that sweet spot. You'll hit every one.
Yeah.
You don't manage to get it if not your first Thor ultimate. It's going to be the same sort of way where you're like, okay, Might second guess myself a little bit more. Hang on to it a little bit long.
And Breez wants to try and hang on to Mr. Stefan, but he makes it out of there, gets the rewind off. That's also the Scarab's blessing. Both ultimates used off one initiation, and Markus just hunted down by FrostiaK.
And now with the field down, he's forcing Terrorem to jump away, but Breez is there with a knock-up. And Asty's down too. Remember, the Khepri already wasted, and this could be game one.
It certainly should be at this point. Echrome and Mr. Stefan without a front line left are going to have a lot to try and do to keep this game alive. Titan at half HP. That is it, baby. Out cold. 28 minutes. Shut down Horizon Union.
Really clean. If you think about one of those kills out of those two that we saw at Horizon Union there, came at the beginning of the game on the Geb that invaded and stole away the speed buff. That's how tough it was.
Yeah, they really could not get much of anything going. And the reason I was making a big deal about that first ultimate, it's almost like a power spike, really, because you're able to do so much with that ult the other team can't match, and they kind of gave up that spike. That's just one small play, but I do wonder if maybe that had a lot to do with this game being so out of control for them.
No pressure towards PrettyPriMe on that Izanami in mid lane as well.
Right.
You know, the Thor ultimate dunks there, you've got Ullr with the follow-up damage. Ullr's burst is insane. It's one of the reasons you see him in the mid lane position. No composition really organized there from Horizon Union. There was no communication, didn't work out.
Yeah, and FrostiaK was AFK in the jungle for like the first 8 minutes of the game because he wanted to be, obviously,
to do anything else,
and never was put to any questions either. It just got to be a little bit more, I think, if they want to try and take a team down like Outcold. They'll have some time, though, to work on those adjustments. A quick break, and we'll be right back.
INAP, powering the control room for the SMITE Minor League.
Welcome back, everybody. Aggro on the desk here, joined by Zeros as Outcold Gaming, end up getting a really big victory, and one that was pretty much as easy as we thought it was going to be with the draft. I mean, Horizon Union had a lot of good things, and you look across the way and you see Amaterasu set, and the one that kind of flew underneath the radar in the draft, that Olorun pick for Spudio. How do you beat that draft?
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, Olorun has a lot of counter picks, right? Like the Vamanas, the Guans, but they didn't end up. I don't think they had a single character that's like really good into the Olorun. So like, I just felt like their team fight late game was just uncontested in this game.
And FrostiaK had a great game on the set, 2-0 and 8 for him. The build in the jungle, I think, getting this the extra HP early, the Blackthorn Hammer into the Frostbound Hammer, it just lets him be as aggressive as he wants to be.
Yeah, that's what I really like about set jungle. Like, I feel like you need those Bruce writers, you know, because like I feel full damage set, you go in a team, because that's what you want to do, right? You want to alt, teleport in, and just go ham, you know. But I feel like if you're full damage, you can die. So I really like the build from FrostiaK.
Yeah, I agree. And then Dimi on the other side as well. Just those two diving the back line together felt pretty unstoppable. Dimi had a great game on this Amaterasu. I mean, Dimi's had an Ama his whole career basically, and you give him this new improved Ama. I don't know how you stop him.
Yeah, just like playing one of the best characters in the game. I played so well on it. Like, you have to love seeing this.
Certainly a comfort pick for him. And this is where you know that the game is pretty much over. I mean, Dimi chases you down, zones both of your damage dealers, and takes like 20% of his HP at the same time. So Horizon Union, this time, it's some easy adjustments to make. You just don't give them Ama, Set, and Olorun, and you're already off to a better start, right?
Yeah. At least don't give them all free. Maybe maybe try giving them 2 this game.
Yeah, maybe we just try a little bit of the OP stuff instead of giving it all the OP stuff. I mean, Horizon Union did some things pretty well in the early game, I think. They were able to hold steady. Mr. Stefan dies with Rewind up a couple times. I think those are the things you got to work on overall.
Yeah, for sure. And they even got the first blood on Breez as well, so they were off to a pretty good start, but Then I have to talk about the Breez blink.
the blink
smack.
Hey, man.
That was my favorite play of that game.
He earned it. The level 1 Geb needs that kill every time. Picks and bans ready now for game number 2. Horizon Union this time around going to try and find something that fights a little bit better in the late game. I think the early game 3v3 was solid between that mid 3v3 of Ullr and Thor in particular, with the Khepri alongside. Probably just need to draft a little bit more late game. Is Outcold instantly go after Set and Hun Batz. That's a Markus special. That's a character he plays a lot of.
Makes sense then, I guess.
And then, I mean, the first pick slot these days, you get to throw away ban quite a bit and just kind of target ban a little bit. They get both of them here.
Yeah, Horizon is in the position now where they can. Okay, they banned Isis. They could have left Isis open and maybe traded 2 really strong picks for 1 here, but they decided to ban Isis. So I guess we're gonna see Amaterasu on Outcold again.
Yeah, I'd be shocked if this was anything but Amaterasu. I mean, that was such a good pick for Dimi. Indeed it will be, and it still flexes well if Breez has it in the God pool. The Izanami mid lane for PrettyPriMe seemed to work out pretty well that game as well. I mean, it brings everything you want your mid hunter to do.
Yeah, we talked about it earlier. Like, to me, it's kind of a weird pick. Like, if you look at her kit, like, she has everything she wants to be a success, especially now with the strong wave clear she has. But, like, there's still something. Sometimes I just feel like it isn't enough in some way, but, like, Prime did really well on it, so
made it work for sure. Serqet Merlin, pretty strong for Horizon Union, but certainly a different sort of route than what we saw last time around. I do think Merlin is one of the few gods that can contest with Ama a little bit and at least have the chance to burn her down with that prot shred.
Yeah.
You can flicker out of Dazzling Offensive pretty easily. Among the mages I want to play against Ama, it's a small list, but Merlin makes the list.
This is the problem though. Picking Serqet this early when Gab is open, even when Khepri is open, I really don't like it, because I feel like Gab just prevents everything you want to do against Serqet. It doesn't matter if it's Serqet jungle or support, I just feel like Gab is such a hard counter. And I feel like teams just need to stop picking Serqet so early.
Gotta maybe pick the Geb for yourself. You can go Serqet Geb in that spot, but then they have Khepri, so same sort of problem, I suppose. Osiris the pick yet again here for Horizon Union. This time the Olorun ban, I like this. You needed to get something that could either deal with the Olorun or ban it yourself. But FrostiaK got the signature Susano. I mean, that's his best character by a mile, right?
That is true.
The Frosty special is what he brings.
I think it was last year's Worlds before when we were like, before we started boot camping with Dignitas back then. We screamed a lot against, I think they were Elevate back then, or maybe it was
Mouse, I think.
Mouse, yeah, that's it. And it's such a nightmare. We had to ban. Susano wasn't even that good in that meta, but like, we just had to ban it against FrostiaK. So.
And now he's good in the meta, and FrostiaK still has the skill for sure. Cernunnos pick up here, probably for mid lane. Are you going Cernunnos so that you can polymorph the Geb instead of picking on her? I mean, I feel like on her is just the pick in that spot if you want the mid hunter. Cernunnos is a little bit weird.
Yes, seems kind of weird. I haven't really seen a lot of Cernunnos mid. I mean, he does have kind of what you want from mid, right? He has a pretty good fighting out when you hit level 5 for like a 3-on-3. It's pretty good wave clear. He has a dash, but he seems a little bit underwhelming compared to some of the other topics, in my opinion.
And then Najah to round out the draft for Horizon Union. I mean, they don't give Outcold the kitchen sink in terms of picks this time, but I don't like their draft as much as their own just outright 5. We'll see if they can make it work here in game number 2. Outcold Gaming looking to close it out 2-0.
We'll see if they can, Aggro. Thank you, and Zeros on the desk, as there's again some early game shenanigans happening. This time, though, Astyaniax, which is what I've decided to call him, is on the Serqet in the support role.
Steadyax.
I'm saying Astyaniax.
Oh, I thought you said Steadyax.
That's
I was like, I like it, but I don't know.
I think I'm leaving letters out still, but it's a lot of vowels in there, and I don't worry too much about it.
Do like the start of this game, though, from Horizon Union. The picks already, I'm a bit more in favor of. If you think about how things began for Outcold in game 1, I love the fact they've gone with a Najah and a Serqet, 2 very high-pressure gods in this early game that can make a lot of differences. And if Breez tries to do this against an Osiris and a Najah, you're going to just die for first blood. I don't think there's anything else he can really do here. I'm not a big fan of this. If he was going to go for this idea here, Breez, I really would have liked to see the Heavenly Agility picked up instead, just to get him away from the consistent slows that these two are going to put on.
Well, that's first blood. Yeah.
But if you think about the state of the game, Finch, I mean, the speed buff's only just been done, so it's not really that much of a delay overall. And the TP to lane for Terrorem means he doesn't lose any farm there. He gets assist gold, and Amy has to back away from the jungle too on the solo side, so...
And the rest of his team is successfully invading on the other side, stripping away the red buff while defending their own speed buff as well. Looks like Prime did, at the very least, pick up his speed
At the very least, too, FrostiaK did manage to get the beads out of Stefan with that level 1 gank on this left-hand side, so that at least put a little bit of pressure onto Stefan. But then again, it's the solo laner / duo laner / get all the experience on his own person, so he should be fine. Especially because he's got that flicker for safety.
And Astyaniax this time is electing to go with the Boots Rush, which we've seen become more common on some of these aggressive supports, especially if they're not going to get much out of the Guardian's Blessing.
As long as they go back for the Blessing. They should always get something out of the Guardian's Blessing. I just want to make that clear now. That item is amazing.
It is very good. Gold per minute. Just getting a direct injection of that, never gonna hurt.
Boots used to have that once upon a time, you know? They took it off Boots, you know why? Because it was OP!
Yeah, and it's very good here on Guardian's Blessing as well. I don't think I really do think Assassin's Blessing is also quite good, but I think that Guardian's Blessing is worth having as well.
And I think the main thing from both of those is I think the Assassin's Blessing before it gets upgraded or evolves into its final form is good then at that point. Until then, it's a little bit weak, and I agree with the thought process there.
Sure.
But the Guardian's Blessing, it gets better when it's evolved, but the base version is very good too. A little bit of protection, a little bit of sustain, and that's very important in that supportive position where you're not going to get as much farm, but you've got to stay on the map and rotate a lot. You need that sustain to stay in the engagements.
And both of these junglers electing to go with an early blink this time, Hindu, for FrostiaK and Markus. And especially on Naja, that's one where usually, what did I say?
Use a blinks.
Yeah, they don't go the blink, which is what I'm so surprised by, is that they've elected not to here. Because usually, your Najas, you feel like, would really want that. Even Susano, you can make an argument for it, but this time, everyone worried about the CC, so they're picking up those beats.
Levels of respect. That's what they're really seeing here from this one. It's just the amount of things that could go wrong. If you get snowballed in this early game by going for the blink option and you get behind, I think both these junglers could run away with the game to an extent. Especially with a Naja or a Susano, either or. So get the defensive option for a little bit of safety. Stefan's going to be careful here. 10 seconds on his beads.
He is in some trouble. Does defend the actual buff itself and makes it back out without being in too much trouble. I do want to point out one other thing, though, as we're coming over to solo, which is perfect, so that's what I want to talk about. That Terrorem's Warrior's Blessing is done. And that's because of that start he had fighting Breez. He got multiple sickles on him, and then obviously a kill is a bunch of stacks as well. So he's about, what, 7 ahead?
I don't play much solo, but I'm pretty sure it's 10 seconds per stack, right? It's 10 seconds between every stack of that. So it just shows how much time he had. You got to see on the other one. Go with the other one. There you go. Was that 10 seconds? Yeah. Okay, cool. 10 seconds per stack, and like that takes a bit of a swing in between if you think about how long the game began. To get to that point already, it's a small boon, if anything. It's not going to make a huge difference because it's against an Amaterasu, which is going to give you lane pressure against an Osiris in the early game. But if you can find something off the back of that, maybe an early rotation or such, we'll see.
He should be able to at least try and help control that blue buff as a result. His boxing potential has gone up pretty significantly if there's multiple people over there on that side of the map. And Dimi is being forced back, has a teleport though, so should be able to come back relatively soon.
Rise of Chiron.
If he chooses to finish it.
Rise of Chiron.
You like Chiron here in mid? Yeah.
Do you know what? I think it's been a while. Like, he got played now and again. We saw 1 or 2 teams try him out in the earlier seasons, and I think a lot of people kind of slept on the cleanse. But the cleanse did get a bit of a buff in terms of the fact that it was easier to apply now and starts off a little bit sooner, so you can read it a little bit better. I think a lot of the trickiness that was surrounding Chiron then was like when exactly he's supposed to throw that out for the cleanse option. And now he's got to get with him. Well, this is 2 cleanses Outcold have now, which is going to make it even more tricky for Horizon Union.
And I like Chiron a lot more with someone like Soul or Chronos on the team as well, because we say all the time that hunters do all the hunter thing, but I do think Chiron's pretty low in terms of doing the hunter stuff. Like your DPS on objectives and structures can be hurt a little bit.
Yeah.
So when you add in the Soul, I really like the Chiron even more because you're really not going to be missing out on it too much.
Chiron, in terms of what he brings, he's ability-based, more like a Medusa, if anything, like a Neef to an extent. The difference is he just doesn't have any sort of steroid whatsoever in his kit, and that really does limit him in the later stages. But the ability-focused damage and the fact that his passive heals does make an impact.
Yeah, what is his? I guess it's technically that he gets haste during Giddy Up. That is the bone he's been thrown.
You get a bit more power during Giddy Up is what happens with it, where you do more power, but then you've got to stay in Giddy Up to keep it going.
Well, it's a 3-man fight, knocked up by the Typhoon, but yet it's still Breez that's in trouble. Markus gets out of danger. Dimi is still waiting for him when he lands, but he avoids a lot of the dazzling offensive using that Windfire wheels. That's a huge fight for Horizon Union.
If they can get the blue too, yes, and I'm just going to make sure they do that first of all, which they do, and give it over to Terrorem. Great start for Horizon Union, 2 kills under their belt, both of them towards the jungler Markus that struggled in that game, one on the Thor. It's good to see him start to get some pressure going. and continue this. I was a bit confused about that fight at first, about whether they should have gone for Breez or maybe looked at Dimi, who was out of mana there. But I think the right call was there, because if Breez was still alive, he might have been able to get another shield off that could have stopped the continuation of the pressure there.
Plus, Markus was the one the most in trouble, as Astyaniax might have Prime here, but instead they'll go for Breez yet again. They have made this Geb their target. Stuck inside the Wild Hunt here as well. That does slow down the aggression and actually gets Breez out of there.
Love Prime using the ultimate there. Didn't need to, but by doing so, he put so much pressure on Horizon Union. They had to run away, and Frosty's there for cleanup. Prime might have stuck around a little bit too long, but Breez still being alive because of his help from Prime at least helps, as Frosty bites off more than he can chew.
He certainly does. He gets that first pick onto Echrome, and that's nice, but he can't get back out while keeping himself alive, and he ends up falling for it. And so far, Horizon Union having a pretty good game here for themselves. About 2,000 gold or so out in front. Surprisingly, having an easier time this early game than in game 1.
Yeah, and they've got to keep this pressure going, though. With the fact they've got the Naja and the Serqet in this early stage, continuing to force these beads and keep them on cooldown opens up more windows of possibility. It allows Terrorem on this Osiris to not have someone beads away one of the slows and get away from him. He can just continue the rundown objective, which will allow him to just continue to be more of a bully. Hopefully, though, we'll just see what happens as this turns around, because Dimi will bring that mobility to his team as the game goes on.
That's right. Amaterasu, not too bad about giving up this early game, doesn't mind that too much, but Terrorem has made good use of it so far, and the rest of Horizon Union by fighting on this right-hand side a lot. So now, Outcold have to try and find some kind of way, I feel like, to alleviate this pressure, either by bringing more members over to the right or fighting elsewhere on the map, or maybe just kind of waiting it out. They don't necessarily have to be aggressive early, I don't think, with this draft.
It's Horizon Union just trying to answer back what happened in game 1 with the same blue buff invades, but Outcold are here to defend.
FrostiaK got the Typhoon charged and ready to go, and it's Astyaniax who's quite low. He manages to get out of there with that ambush, though the Centaurus was close there. From Prime.
It's great damage from that Centaurus, and it's always underestimated how much burst that will really do. Once he gets that Transcendence online, by the way, he really does swing.
Yes.
Cooldown reduction on Chiron is definitely a go-to option, just to allow him to have those abilities up a little bit more often. But everyone underestimates how much damage that will do.
I do. Even still to this day, aggro and zeros are in the green room like, man, Chronos does so much damage, and I'm like, I trust you guys, you're smarter than me, but sure, I don't feel like it, you know.
No, I feel it.
Chiron bops, though, man. He certainly can.
He does. And then after that, you've still got the trading exercise as well. The hardest ability to hit in the game that guarantees after hitting a Centaurus. So you've got even more follower damage potentially if you can just hit one of those shots.
Yes, quite masterful indeed there for Chiron, who is, as you said, has a nice ability that automatically hits. You love to see that. As Dimi could be in trouble. There's a big rotation to the right-hand side, and he's slowed too. Look at the slow from Terrorem. The dash was towards his only out, and Dimi, I think, perfectly played that one to make sure there wasn't a scuffle.
And they could have continued the chase onto him there after the dash was down for Dimi, but I don't think it was worthwhile. They would have overextended, and you saw the positioning that Outcold were in to turn that around. Breez was just waiting in the wings. If they did fully commit, they would have had to show their hand a little bit more so, and Breez could have easily been there with a shield and go, no problem, Dimi, you're fine. By the way, your ultimate will be back up in a few seconds, and turn it.
The only problem with this aggressive support start is that it puts your Guardian's Blessing in the wrong slot.
Oh, I hate it.
Me too, man. That is...
I'll be honest, once upon a time when I first started, I used to always go boots first, like boots 1 into my blessing. Oof. But then I was like, no, I've changed my mind about that now. It just looks a bit awkward. Although, it kind of makes sense because you'll sell your blessing before your boots, right? So then once you've sold your blessing, you go back and fill that slot with your 6th item, and then you sell your boots for your speed part, elixir thing.
Yes.
Whatever it's called now. And then you sell the boots at that point, which means your boots would be in the first slot, which means your final item is then in the first slot, which is how old SMITE used to be before we increased the fact of the speed buff. There you go.
Markus in some trouble. Sash is the response. Windfire Wheel even better. Gets him out of there. Astyaniax is low, so uses the last breath to reposition, and suddenly it's Prime that's in trouble. Instead, we turn our attention towards Breez as they manage to keep up the chase, but there's Prime. I said he was in trouble earlier. He comes back in to help, and that sets up for FrostiaK to take care of Markus.
1 down, make that 2, and now he could look for the 3rd, but Astyaniax will punish him at least on the tail end of that, but now he's going to try and escape. Goes back towards Terrorem for support, but Dimi's there with a shield to slap him in the face.
3 for 2, favoring Outcold so far. They did have to go with their jungle mid laner, but they took away the entirety of that 3 in the middle from Horizon Union. So not a bad fight from them at all. And they do such a good job, I feel like, of weaving in and out of these fights at the right time.
And it's more about it's a dance. That's all the team fights generally are, trying to wait for your cooldowns to be up, go back into the engagement. Full credit to Echrome, by the way, because that ultimate that he threw out on that Cernunnos, perfectly timed. It was just off the landing from Markus on that Windfire Wheels, and it just kind of spread the fight a little bit more and gave Horizon Union that window of opportunity to get a small lead in that engagement until it got turned around.
I feel like Markus looked a lot better on this Najah this game, hasn't he, as opposed to the Thor from game 1. I mean, that's not enough to say that we think there's anything wrong with Markus's Thor, obviously, but just here in this game, he definitely appears to have found a much better rhythm.
And that's the thing about the rhythm. I think that just comes down to how your first couple of minutes of the game go a lot of time for junglers. A lot of them are very skill shot dependent, specifically Najah, but also Thor to an extent. You know, the wall hammer combos, landing the ultimate, same sort of thing. You need to get yourself off and into a good rhythm to set yourself up to be confident in the mid game.
Looks like Markus has found that confidence here, as Breez once again is the target, but plenty of cleanses, as you've already mentioned, between the Chiron and the Geb, so they make it out of there no problemo.
Makes it even better when you can use the Geb shield on yourself just for the health that it gives you, not for the cleanse, because you've got to cleanse from a Chiron.
FrostiaK has the Typhoon charge. They won't get here in time to defend the blue, but they can try and make Markus pay for it on the way back out. But FrostiaK commits left when Markus wants to go right and can't quite lock him down.
Now notice Horizon Union sending 2 members over here to invade the blue buff consistently and try to keep the pressure onto Dimi's blue buff. We don't see out of Outcold Gaming, though, them over-invested on this right-hand side. They're keeping pace with the amount of people that they're sending over. 2 over on the right-hand side, we send 2 members. 3 over there, we send 3. We don't make it a 3v1 or a 3v2, which could expose a Gold Fury at the same time. We can keep the numbers even. It's an important factor that comes into play with wards, which do allow to give that situation a little bit more vision to it.
Especially to a Merlin. Chronos, dude, they will shred an objective. If you give them a window, there's the beach from Stefan to immune the Cataclysm from Breez. Well done. And the level 14 Merlin wizards his way out of that one.
Not a terrible result there for Outcold Gaming, getting the beads off of Stefan. I mean, Breez not having his ultimate for a few minutes could be an opportunity to get aggressive towards this Geb once more, especially because he's not got his Thieves online just yet. So he's still in that zone where Geb can be punished at this early game.
Certainly can be. Only 13 and 10. Dimi making the rotation over, but I don't think the rest of Outcold quite agreed. So Dimi will instead take a path back towards lane, but he could be in trouble.
Yeah.
And I don't know if there's any backup coming. He's been caught by the CC, but Dazzling Offensive, such a strong tool to allow him to reposition, but he is still anti-healed even to this point from Lord of the Afterlife, and Terrorem takes him down.
Good little play from Horizon Union more than anything else, and they're going to continue to follow up on Breez, who's out of mana now.
Nice. As Breez is in some trouble, he will fall as well. That's a double kill for the Osiris, and they even take the tier 1 in mid. Echrome gets that one. Horizon Union picking their spots much better here this time.
Frosty, great finish from Frosty there using the ult, but now he's going to get died for it, potentially out of mana. Very low, no sash available for Markus. Horizon Union are on the upswing in this game all of a sudden. They're getting huge wins everywhere.
Well, normally Markus and Terrorem play like this instead of like we saw in game 1. They oftentimes win games, Horizon Union, instead of being the detriment.
Is that a respect thing, you reckon?
Yeah,
like,
maybe so.
The level of play they're against?
I wonder how much that early start did factor in, as Gold Fury now being looked at by Horizon Union. And by looked at, I mean shredded. That Gold Fury's done, and HU grab it, no problem.
Won't take long with a Cernunnos at short range as well. Obviously, he gets bonus damage for being up close and personal, so it allows him to get a swing. Dimi, it goes back to that fight with Dimi. Dimi was out of position. I think he was checking the blue buff area and placing a ward down to get vision of that blue.
It looked like there was a call for a pincer, like a flank initially.
Yeah,
and
I
then
saw that too.
The rest of Outcold, the 3 members by the mid-harpies, they gave up on.
And the Horizon Union pressured after getting that little pinch option off.
Right.
Saw Dimi out in the open, and Dimi was relatively safe at first with the ultimate, but he continued the aggression a little bit with the ult, trying to at least get the stun or a little bit of damage out. And then the follow-up from Horizon Union was fantastic to pick him apart. Breez couldn't do much for that.
They just had trust at this time of the game they'd be a little bit stronger than Outcold were, and they're correct. They now have a little bit less than 5,000 gold out in front favoring them. 4,000 to be precise, 4,600 in the experience department, and that's good. I'm not going to discount it by any means, but a Geb and an Amaterasu supporting a Soul in the mid to late game can kind of make up for that a little bit. Horizon Union might need a little bit more.
Definitely problems though for Outcold. Look at PrettyPriMe stacks on that Transcendence so far compared to that of Echrome. It just shows there's a little bit more fighting and rotations coming out from Outcold Gaming over farming. Sure, experience-wise a little bit down. That's from mainly the objectives than anything else where the experience difference is. But the stacking situation shows that he's rotating more than he's able to get those stacks.
Hasn't been able to maintain the farm and be there at the fights. That's one more reason why when you're in the lead, being active favors you. Because if both of us aren't farming, well then you're the one maintaining your lead, and you're always threatening to grab something off the map. It's now Pyromancer that Horizon Union are taking a look at. And Outcold don't make it there in time.
Love Asti just walking straight up there, but now he's going to get engaged on with the dash from Dimi.
Wow.
Early up from Prime as well, expecting further follow-up damage to come through from Outcold, but it wasn't to be. Pyro goes down. Outcold could look for a fire, but Frosty going to go in.
FrostiaK certainly has. I mean, this has been a hefty commitment from Outcold. I don't know what they saw, but FrostiaK has been gobbled up by Markus. Breez does find the shockwave here to try and find the disengage, but his life might be forfeit now as well. As they look for Prime instead, they go right for the horse.
Prime was just trying to support Breez as Breez was engaging to try and help out Susano. It's a domino effect. One by one, they go marching in like lemmings, and one by one, they're getting taken out. Dimi now has to escape. Spudio with a bit of support, but now Spudio could be in trouble too.
Asti comes over the wall looking for Demi, can't quite find him, so Mr. Stefan picks up the mantle. Breez is here for Geb, shields needed to keep Spudio alive. I don't know how much of a difference it makes. A shockwave hits Markus towards the tail end to make that 2 for 1.
A little bit more than he bargained for there, Markus, as he dived that tier 2 tower to an extent. I love what Horizon Union do, though. Outcold Gaming get aggressive. Frosty goes to the backline. Now, he did a good job because he got bees out of both Markus and Echrome on that engagement, but dying very, very quickly. And because of the blink, so one thing a lot of people forget about the blink, when you blink and get deep into an enemy side of the map to get into a team fight, your team are going to take a few seconds longer to catch up than you bargained for most of the time. And now he's taking a fight in mid that he's not going his way either.
FrostiaK loses that trade and has to fall back. But you're right, man. If you're going to blink to start fights off, then you have to make sure that you're accounting for the fact that your team can't blink also, and so you got to keep them locked down for longer. But that's just so forced from Outcold, man. I agree, Frosty got beads, but the positioning commitment he gave there, you need a lot more than beads, I think, for how far they went in. And remember Prime's ult before that, it really felt like Outcold were antsy there. Where's that calm control that we saw from Game 1?
Completely agree, and I think that's just Horizon Union played a little bit better. They're in and they're out. They're not messing around as much this game. They're not... well, to be fair, they were behind the entire first game, so there's a bit of a difference. But this time around, they're being on the aggressive. They're using the Naja, the Osiris, and the Serqet. They're playing through those three. Stefan and Echrome could be bots at this point, and that's no discredit to them. It's just how well the three of those are playing.
Just someone who's there that will hit the people that we've CC'd. That's about all
Pretty much
they're asking for at this point. Horizon Union, as you said, have done a great job through that support jungle and solo position, as I get the positions all mixed up there in my mind.
To be fair, they move around so much now, Finch. You know, mids are in duos, duos are in mids. You don't know these days.
That's what it really is, right? They're all over the places. Horizon Union have slowed down the pace just a little bit. To be fair, I don't know, man. A lot of this is Outcold kind of putting themselves in tough spots, too. So I don't want to say Horizon Union is slowing down the pace necessarily, but 18.5 minutes in, they're up about 4K or so and hanging out near that FG. But no, they've got 3 members on the left-hand side. They want Spudio involved all of a sudden?
I don't know if he's got wards down there. I don't think he does, but he sniffs the danger because there's no one showing on the map right now. And Spudio's the only one in lane going, all right, so there's 3 of my team in mid. No one's in solo or mid. Where could they be? Is the Fury up? No. I guess they're all waiting in the jungle for me to rotate in. I'll just sit under my tower then.
It won't be me. That is the one that ends up dying, says Spudio there in that last little bit of a time he spent underneath the tier 1. Red buff is up, and Horizon Union might want to try and force out some cooldowns and strip this first. But Outcold don't bite. They lose the red buff, and Horizon Union head right back to the Fury.
Level discrepancy is becoming a bit of an issue now for Outcold Gaming. They've got to start playing like they are behind, because at the moment what we've seen in a couple of these engagements is they're playing like they're even or ahead. And it's going to become a detriment as time goes on, especially because this level lead is starting to grow even more so, as is the gold gap.
Prime in some trouble already, half HP. Asti jumps in to try and exacerbate things, but that's the only Fury already down in Horizon Union's favor. Not much more of the fight here, though, in the back end. They cleanly get what they want, and Outcold are out.
Love the decision from Horizon Union. Don't overtake the objective. They get the objective and then didn't overly try and force a fight onto Prime. Instead, they rotate left. However, Outcold are here to defend.
Asti in that ambush comes over the wall. Doesn't find much, so Breez, Blink Cataclysm, this is all for the Serqet, but Breez pops like a pimple. Prime responds while finding a kill on Asti as well. FrostiaK gets to Markus, and Terrorem diving Prime underneath the tier 2, cleans up that kill. Yeah. A nice one for him, but he will fall to the tower in trade. It's a 3 for 3, and Dimi is going to dash back in.
Got to be careful against Echrome, though, at level 16 with that fully stacked Transcendence and Asti. It's hard to bring down a target when that lifesteal kicks in. Stefan had a healthy enough amount of health here as well with the fact that he's got a Bancrofts. So Horizon Union will at least get the tier 1 tower following the Fury they got. I just think they could have played that a little bit better from Horizon Union's point of view. Outcold get away okay there.
Well, it was the opposite of the issue that you said Outcold had. If Outcold were playing like they were ahead. Horizon Union played like they were way ahead
Agreed.
with that dive on the backside. And I don't think they had quite that big of a gap to where the fight could be that fractured in between multiple towers as well. And they eventually do end up getting a little bit caught off guard.
Yeah, the one thing that we've seen from Horizon Union's composition here, though, is Terrorem on this Osiris is going for the backline. He's looking for Prime and Spudio every single time.
Yeah.
But then Markus and Astyaniax are doing the same sort of thing. They're all focused on the backline, which means that the divers that Outcold have, like FrostiaK, can get one-on-one time against Mr. Stefan, against Echrome, and that can really turn things around and allow your backline to be shredded at the same time. So it ended up washing that fight out.
Looks like a pause coming out from Outcold Gaming. Prime as DC'd and FrostiaK gonna give his mid laner time to hop in. Perhaps there's baby issues, something like that happening that Prime has to handle. But obviously these guys are focused in on winning this game here right now. And Outcold still a bit on the back foot.
They are, and this is a surprise considering how one-sided game one was, right? I mean,
Yeah.
game one, 2 kills for them, one of them at the start of the game for Horizon Union. Game 2, they've bounced back, they've adjusted their picks and bans, and it's starting to pay off for them.
And it's small, but remember how much time Breez wasted in game one. Even though the end result of him giving up first blood was the same, they shut him down immediately in game 2. And I wonder if almost mentally and also the time that's not wasted, if that kind of helped Horizon Union get back into the flow.
I think most of that was actually that pick on Dimi on that rotation is where the biggest
Sure, that
telling
helped too.
point in this game has been. The start of the game, sure, Breeze dying early on. It's kind of expected now that one support's going to die on these silly invades that we see. But seeing Dimi down that rotation had a real knock-on effect that has allowed Horizon Union to catapult into the lead.
Well, they're going to take position around this fire giant here now. Or maybe they won't. 4 of them heading right back towards middle lane. It's just Terrorem here on the right-hand side. They'll take some farm while they can, while Outcold Gaming have to start falling back. This gives me a tier 2 push.
This is the right call from Horizon Union. Just pressure the map with the advantages you've got. You don't need Fire Giant. You could actually throw the game off a Fire Giant fight because of the burst damage that Outcold can put out. Take fights in the jungle on their half of the map and burst down the carries or the tanks.
Dimi dashed in there. There must be this pressure that Outcold are feeling that they have to do something, and it has caused them to commit in some really just bad spots. I know we're watching from up top, Hindu, where we can see everything a lot easier than they can, as opposed to this view down here. But I mean, that play from FrostiaK that I can't stop thinking about, where he dove way beyond, Dimi dashing in there. It's been some questionable plays.
It was definitely the idea. Dimi's idea there was to dash in and get his ult off straight away, but the CC chain was straight there with him. It was either a kiss that came out there from Astyaniax or the sash from Markus. One of those two things just shut him down in his tracks, and the burst after that was just too much to handle.
Quite a bit as Horizon get Fire Giant on all 5 members, and they're going to start threatening in the right side lane. We talked extensively about how much you'd rather grab left, but I think that Horizon Union have such a lead right now that they'll come take this tier 2 in the Phoenix.
And the reason this right-hand one's the easier one is because it's right next to the Fire Giant, right? For the most part. Generally, though, when you take a Fire Giant, you want to look at the map and go, where are the minions? Do we have minion pressure in left, middle, or right-hand side? Wherever the minions are, go with them to begin with. It allows you to take down any towers that are there and waiting to be shredded, and then fall back and look to reposition and set up again. At the moment, though, Outcold did do a good job of pressuring out left and mid to at least find some farm and slow down Horizon Union's assault.
This will slow them down a bit, but only a bit. You talked earlier about some of these experience gaps, and they are still there. Markus still with a 2-level lead over FrostiaK, Echrome with a 3-level lead over PrettyPriMe here at this point, and the gold now has gotten to the point where it's a real problem. 10K for Horizon Union, and they are approaching getting 5th slotted here at this point. Outcold gonna need something big to change for them on this defense.
I think that the composition that Outcold have got here is just a little bit spread, a little bit too thin between the back line and the front line. There's no middle gap as much in terms of where the middle area of damage is going to come from or survivability. And so I think you've got Outcold diving in with Dimi and FrostiaK, for example, and then Breez is there as a follow-up too. But then PrettyPriMe and Spudio can't really get in range, even though they're playing the Chiron, who's got fantastic range with the ultimate. But outside the ult, he's not got that much. He's just a standard option. The fights are getting too spread too thin. That's the issue.
Outcold now defending on the left side. Phoenix, Horizon Union have indeed gone for the most valuable objective here on the map, and they've got a wave pushed in, but Echrome can't stick around long enough. Look how many of Outcold are still kind of forced over to this mid, though.
And it's kind of tricky here because there's no minion pressure in the mid lane yet. Someone's going to have to go over. That's why we see Markus now turn up. Now, Markus versus FrostiaK in a 1v1. All you're looking to do is try and keep the other jungler out of the fray. Use the 4v4 fight with Fire Giant to your advantage. Blink in from Frosty, though. Or was it a blink or was it just a jet stream? Jet stream, I believe his blink is still available, but it did force Markus back towards this left.
Another push. Cataclysm onto Terrorem. It's a bit of an all-in commit, but Terrorem just walks away. That's the Frenzy and the Cataclysm there committed from Outcold. They got a little scared.
Yeah, Breez with the Cataclysm there. I like the idea because Terrorem could have potentially got bursted, but Prime and Spudio weren't ready for that call at all, and they couldn't get the burst onto him in time without investing too much themselves and allowing Horizon Union to dive in. So Breez's thought process there, he's taking Phoenix aggro, we can burst him under the Phoenix, but now there's just no Cataclysm.
That's huge, and now Astyaniax can come in without any fear. Spudio in trouble on the left-hand side as Markus looks for him. They commit the last breath on the Spudio as well, and there's the Lord of the Afterlife onto Prime, and both the carries have been removed. But FrostiaK commits heavily and forces Astyaniax back to the fountain the hard way, but Mr. Stefan responds by burning down Dimi. Frosty, we'll see you later.
Not a bad defense from Outcold so far, but they will at least lose this left-hand Phoenix. It's 4v3, makes it a bit trickier at this middle one. The bad news is, though, Echrome's still alive, and he's the major dealer of the damage towards these Phoenixes at shredding them down.
Yeah, so much damage at this point onto these Phoenixes in particular, and Outcold have a lot less strong of a defense than they had without having Dimi up. They start to move in, do Horizon Union for the Phoenix, have it at half HP already and well below. Spudio's been CC'd, that's it for the middle Phoenix. Markus is low, but they've already gotten what they came for. Outcold's base is wide open.
Yeah, should be falling back now, Horizon Union. Happy with what they got out there. 2 Phoenixes overall. Love that fight, the left-hand Phoenix, though, by Horizon Union. If you watch what happens, Astyaniax there goes aggressive and all-ins onto PrettyPriMe. Tries to keep PrettyPriMe busy and draws his Breez's aggro as well, who looks to support with the shields and the knockups. All the while that fight's going on, Markus, meanwhile, going for the other carry of Outcold Gaming, grabbing hold of Spudio. So they split the difference with the 2 assassins in this composition to split the engagement from Outcold and force them to respond in multiple areas. And the level discrepancy, the item discrepancy, came into play.
But I think that Outcold has not forced Horizon Union to do a full commit yet, because they keep pulling the trigger too early. There's that Cataclysm we just saw just now from Breez. I mean, the FrostiaK play again and the Dimi play again. I just want to see her Outcold force Horizon Union to be the ones that have to do a full-on commitment.
I think the times we've tried to see them do that, it just hasn't paid off for him has been the issue. We've seen Dimi dash in, looking to start a fight, didn't work out, got blown up.
Stop doing that. Make Horizon Union do it.
So make them dive in. Well, they just did it on the left-hand Phoenix, but I guess without the Cataclysm, you're right there.
Yeah,
you know, if they would have had Cataclysm, it could have been a different story. Now, though, Fury goes down. Phoenix is down. It's just all about that right-hand side. This is more now Horizon Union being smart and waiting for the next Fire Giant to spawn.
This is them being patient. They've got some time with which they can farm this map up, and Outcold can't really afford, I think, to come out of their own base range. Looks like Dimi has all that extra movement speed, but that's about it at this point. Horizon Union own this jungle, and they should be able to get this next Fire Giant, but FrostiaK is up there, will be revealed on minions soon. No, he comes back into the jungle. They might not know how far back he is.
Frosty's there to steal it. That's what he's really trying to do. The other guys are just going to present a force that we're on defense more than anything else, and then wait for the Fire Giant to begin. If we can get a kill, though, that would be even better. And guess what? Echrome just took a ton of damage.
Had to use the Aegis there defensively. That is not a bad play for Frosty at all. And Dimi is going to try and pick up the mantle. Dazzling offensive does stun Echrome, but he gets some help from a shell. Asti wants to keep Dimi locked down to make him pay for the aggression, but Terrorem goes right to the back line towards Spudio. Markus there with a big-time 518 crit, and Spudio's in the grave.
Spudio just didn't exist this game. That's what I'm looking at. I just don't feel like he's managed to make a difference at all. Every single engagement I look at, I'm like, okay, there's no soul follow-up damage because she's not in range. And then when I look back at where her positioning is, she's getting all in soon after by the sash from Markus into the damage from Terrorem.
Wow, Markus is doing too much for PrettyPriMe to be able to deal with. That might just be the game at this point. It's only FrostiaK and Breez left to try and defend. Horizon Union are going to take care of the Fire Giant, so it might not be an in-call yet if they're going to stop for that. Now they realize, yeah, let's just go ahead and push. I don't know if we need it.
Yeah, Breez and FrostiaK, the only 2 alive. No ultimates available for a little while longer. They can try and clear out some minions, but the fire ones on the left are going to cause a bigger problem. Stefan, though, great play from Frosty. If he would have killed Stefan, that could have slowed things down. But now he gets picked apart as the rotation came in for the other members. Horizon Union should be able to make this a 1-for-1.
Actually have some time to grab some water here now, I think. You know, maybe go get a snack or something like that, because we're going to a Game 3. Horizon Union take down Game number 2 in nearly as dominant fashion as we saw from Outcold in Game 1. These teams clearly a bit more evenly matched than I thought.
The carries from Outcold Gaming, they just couldn't get involved in that game at all. I spoke about the split. I mean, to be fair, Prime's damage was lower than Spudio's when you think about it, when you look at the damage numbers there between the two. But I do think there was a big gap between the front line and the back line. Front line over-aggressive, back line couldn't get close enough to follow up. And that gap is just too much for the Outcold Gaming to sustain against the gap closing that you had out of Horizon.
It just looked a little bit different than that same mentality from Outcold, from game 1 from Outcold. They seemed antsy to me in that game. Like they were itchy to start the fight or try and make some initiation happen, and it did not work. See if they can make some adjustments to that as we get ready for game number 3.
INAP, powering the control room for the SMITE Minor League.
We build this one as a close one, and it's certainly turning out to look that way after Horizon Union win game number 2 and force a game 3. Aggro here on the desk joined by Zeros. And Zeros, I mean, the draft goes better for Horizon Union, but still we weren't in love with it. We liked Outcold's draft quite a bit, but they just fell behind early, it felt like, on the right side of the map.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, there was a bit of a snowball, but then I think Outcold made some pretty big misplays as well. I think it was one in particular where, like, I think they got initiated on, and they used like 2 Chiron alt and 1 more alt, and then FrostiaK would just blink in at the back camps all alone, just die, and then I think his team tried to follow up on that, and like I think after that it was kind of rough for them to come back.
Yeah, I think that was around 17 minutes in, right after Horizon Union had gotten a Pyromancer. And Prime and Spudio just felt really neutralized this game. Dimi fell behind early to Terrorem, who was really a terror in the team fights. And that's kind of what you want to do. And really with the double cleanse, I thought of the Chiron and the Geb, that would shut down Markus and Asti pretty well, but those two still managed to have great games.
Yeah, for sure. Like, Geb is so good against both these characters, but they were just too far behind, I think. And like Nasha, Serqet, when they're ahead, they can do so much, and it's so hard to play against. Both really mobile, a lot of damage, even without building that much damage in the build. So like, just hard for Outcold to like climb back into this game, I think.
And Echrome played well in the Cernunnos mid, we were both a little bit skeptical of. That is a pick for him that he's done very well with, so I'm not too surprised to see him really have another solid game on it. And this loss for Outcold, even if they win the set, is relevant, because plus-minus is going to come into play for sure up against Flashpoint as long as both these teams are winning. So this is a big win now. This is a must-win game for Outcold if they want to try and keep pace, as Flashpoint is on a bye week this week. Anything in particular you want to see them change? Or you think the draft is okay, it's just execution for them?
I don't know. I mean, the Geb, as I said, I love it against the picks that the enemy team is playing, but maybe they should just try to play some early game as well, you know, like match the early game, because at the end of the day, they should be the better team fighting team, right? There's so much experience of all the players, so
of course,
maybe just try to match the early game a little bit more. Yeah,
Breez has definitely struggled on those early game invades. Game 1, he got the speed, then died. Game 2, he didn't get the speed, still died. Maybe it's time to give him something like the Serqet or the Hercules that can actually make plays in that spot. Outcold getting in the first pick slot this time around. They were in game 2, and they first picked the Ama. Despite Dimi falling behind there, I don't think it's the type where you go, okay, we don't want Amaterasu anymore. You know?
Yeah, for sure. Unless they want to flex it to support. I don't know if Breez plays it, but like that could be an option too. As I said, if you want to match pressure a bit more.
Yeah, certainly has a much better level 1 fight and level pre-5 fight for sure. Ama's open here. Outcold, instead of banning the Hunbats, ban the Serqet this time around. And that makes sense. When you target ban a player, like you ban the Hunbats, and then he has a good game on something else, you kind of just go, okay, you can take it if you want. You know, we'll ban something else.
Thing is, Horizon can kind of run... Okay, they picked the Batz. I was thinking... They can still kind of run it back, though, with, like, just switch the Serqet for a Fenrir, you know, and they have the same kind of support early game.
Sure.
So that might be something to look for.
They go back to the Osiris there for Terrorem. I think that makes some sense. I definitely agree that you want to stick with even if it's not Fenrir or Serqet, can't pick the Serqet obviously, you want early game pressure and support, right? You're just trying to rematch exactly what you did. But Chronos, Thor for Outcold Gaming, these feel like two picks that really do synergize well with one another. Great CC and great link game for both.
Yeah, just solid picks. What would be really good for Horizon, I think, is Gab to like. I think Gab kind of like soft counters Chronos and Thor, but then again, I don't know if they play it or if they just like the early game support.
Sure.
And now Outcold can ban some Fenrir and like ban some other strong level 1 supports as well. So
Terra, not necessarily level 1, but pre-5 can be pretty strong and difficult to fight against. Then post-5 has one of the best ultimates in the game, so certainly not upset about that. Horizon Union ban the Geb themselves, and they take away 2 picks that Outcold have gone for so far today, and then Outcold takes away the Echrome Chronos. I like the the Cernunnos rather. I like the Cernunnos ban. Just make him do something else.
Yeah.
But Khepri seems solid to me. It's a little bit of early game, can still brawl there, but has that Geb kind of protection.
Yeah, for sure. I was expecting like a Fenrir or something though, because like they would have run the kind of same comp down where they had Merlin last game, which did really well. Those Osiris did extremely well against Amaterasu in Soul Lane. So kind of confused by that, but like then again, Khepri's super solid pick. So
a lot of cripples here with these last 2. Cupid, Artio, the last 2 picks. Feels like a big over-investment into Cripple for a composition that doesn't like it, but doesn't hate it nearly as much as you might expect. You think this is the draft for Outcold? Do you think they did a better job here?
I think I like the draft last game more, but maybe they can fight better in the early game here, and maybe that's just what they need.
Sure. Artio pretty good at that.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, maybe could be the difference maker there. A must-win game for Outcold if they want to keep chances good for them to make it to land. Game 3 starting right now.
And I have to imagine they do want to keep those chances good, so we'll see if Outcold can find it here with this game. First Heart Bomb from Prime off the mark. Maybe not a great sign, but hey, you can hit all the rest and it'll be just fine.
I hate Cupid. I hate him.
What?
I don't know, I just don't
Give
like
me some good reasons.
His character's awful, his
Wait,
abilities...
like his model, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's a baby in a diaper, man. Come on.
This might be too big
But
for
with
me.
wings.
That's Cupid,
Yeah,
baby.
I mean, yeah, I know.
Love me
but
some
like,
Cupid.
I don't like him.
The only reason I don't like Cupid is because Heart Bomb is hard to hit for me, and he's not nearly as good when he's missing that ability.
And if you miss it, you get all in. Because also, don't forget that Heart Bomb, even if you hit a creep with it, it's also your passive for the stun, which means that you've got to rebuild that passive, so you're not really threatened for a while after the Heart Bomb, because you've got to get those stacks back up first of all anyway. I don't know, Cupid's always been a weird god for me personally, because of the fact his ultimate is one of the most engaging and team fight initiating ultimates on a hunter, which makes it very awkward to play.
I think that he is one of the most cooldown dependent gods in the game, and getting your Fields of Love into an opportune spot is so critical for Cupid, but it can spell a lot of trouble for a lot of these picks here for Horizon Union that are reliant on these dashes. Everyone except Terrorem going to be in some trouble when that cripple field comes out, as Asti does get the body block on the Prime, and that secures a couple of good autos.
FrostiaK versus Markus, and Markus got
Markus is
beat
coming
down.
back in? What
But
a mad lad.
FrostiaK, well, he's got backup, that's why he's going back in.
Well, FrostiaK, he trusted FrostiaK would have more self-preservation than anything, but he just turns around and kills him. I think he could have done that in lane for what it's worth, but yeah, he does in the jungle.
I don't think he could have done it in lane because Markus was under a tier 1 tower, and then he decided to wander off into the jungle like
That's what I said was wild initially. Yes,
Yeah.
He's a crazy person. I mean, well, obviously not.
Yeah.
But Markus,
he
goes
is.
back in, trusting that the rest of his team was going to be able to back him up a little bit more than what he got, and I think Frosty correctly recognized he could just turn around really quick and commit there. Nice first block.
I think it's the fact that he looked at Hachiman, he looked at Khepri and went, we can make this work.
Yeah.
But they're only level 2 on Khepri and Hachiman, and after a dash from both of them maybe, that's all they had to really close the gap. There wasn't enough burst damage there afterwards to find the kill, so Markus falls down at the beginning of the game.
And Breez does not do the start this time.
No.
The obnoxious invade on this Artio. And I'm a bit surprised. Artio is one that I think can do pretty well in that spot, since she has 2 abilities at level 1.
Agreed.
And can certainly be scrappy, but it looks like Breez likes it more in this sort of mid-lane scuffle.
Funny enough, the idea from Outcold seems to be just trying to shut down a bit of what Markus can do in the early game with these Inferno Weevils. That's why you see Breez actually going for beads here, and I think that's one of the reasons why we don't see the invade, is he went for the beads option to make sure he had a little bit more survivability. He's a little bit worried about maybe Breez getting picked in the early game and being focused on this Artio.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
So playing it a little bit more defensively and allowing Outcold to just play the early game through Thor.
They are trying to make this Unabot a non-factor, it seems. Prime takes a little bit too much poke. There's a lot of members here in the middle lane, whereas Markus is not there splitting the same way on the side of Horizon Union. So it might have favored them slightly throughout this early game, as now we see Frosty head back towards the speed.
Prime's going to be careful here as Markus rotates in. The monkey does bounce, as you'd expect, but he won't jump to it this time.
Oh, red buff, though. This is going to be a nice little scuffle. Breez is not quite in position for this one, no, but that's a sick wall. It buys so much time for Outcold. And now the Argonauts members here. Spudio's right around the corner. In comes Prime as well. Terrorem solos Dimi in the middle of all this. That's crazy. As now Astyaniax being stunned.
And now the pressure onto FrostiaK as Echrome's trying to get away.
And Frosty way back, just doing camps at this point, trying to see if he can heal up a little bit. Prime has to dash out as well. Spudio trying to get into this picture to see if he can get a little bit more damage onto Markus, but Mr. Steffen has had some time to rotate in. Osty's low, and Prime finally finds him.
Finally a kill, but now Echrome under pressure. FrostiaK jump back in with a double tap. Stefan wasn't there with the blizzard in time.
I cannot believe that somehow FrostiaK managed to find his way out of that one, too. It does look like the red buff must have been stolen because no one has it on the side of Outcold. I assume Echrome had it and died with it at this point, but either way, Outcold come out on top in a 2-for-1 fight.
Not sure what happened in the solo lane. We should get away from that right now. Actually, we can go to that replay now. Let's see what happened in that solo lane between the two, because it's a bit surprising to see Terrorem get a first blood here. So it was Dimi invading
I'm 5 and you aren't.
Dimi invading the jungle, or going into his own jungle to come back to lane, full minion wave there, yeah. And as you said, Finch, you had it right, moment one. You're 5 and I'm not.
Yeah, I'm 5. Yeah, it's tough to win in that one. Plus the dash gets blocked successfully there by Terrorem to minimize how much distance Dimi could cover. That was just a nice clean pick there.
It's definitely one of those notches you put on your bedpost there for taking Dimi scalp in the solo lane, that's for sure.
I agree. I don't know that he had to dash that early. This is what I mean. Outcold have felt a little bit kind of on the trigger finger. I don't know exactly how I want to say it. Like, they've been quick to pull the trigger. And I don't know they necessarily have had to in all these situations. Again, we have hindsight, and it's not, I'm not playing for a chance to make it to land right now, so there's a lot that I am not having to deal with that these players
you cast him to make it a chance to land, right?
I did, but I got 3rd, right? So I didn't even get that.
Well, I was never going to say anything like that.
Is that not what you were alluding? I mean, you do it all the time.
I give you a job.
You did, thank you.
There you go. Like, it couldn't be that bad, right?
4 other people too, and I was in that list, but yeah, thanks.
Yeah, true. Out of 10, 40%.
That's not bad. Make it into that.
You're 10% of that 40%. There you go.
That's right. I'm still here now. Hanging out. Man.
You happy about still hanging out?
I am. I don't know how you feel, though. You could have any of the other 3.
Any of them.
And I'm the one still here as Breez ends up getting rooted. He's in some trouble, but Fields of Love comes through, and Frosty dunks in as well. What a combo from Outcold. A double kill now for FrostiaK and Markus. He's not going to be able to make it out either. Fear No Evil finally drops, and Outcold get 2.
Notice Echrome and Asti both had their ultimates available. Neither managed to use them in that engagement at all. That is exactly what they were trying to play through here, Outcold. You saw the beads pick up at the start from Breez. Well, his beads came into play there and allowed him to survive in that engagement, and then sets up this window where Thor dunks and PrettyPriMe ults, and there's just nothing Horizon Union can do.
And I don't want to draw too many parallels back to that Thor dunk from Game 1, but it was a level 7 Thor that ulted up into the air in Game 2 and didn't find anything, as opposed to the one Frosty just found as Echrome hits a huge mounted archery.
Just not enough damage to bring down Breez at that moment in time, but that's exactly what Outcold game plan was, and you're right, the Thor play does come into it. That first dunk, so important, and Frosty, I've always said about Frosty, he's very feast or famine in terms of his jungle. You roll a dice with Frosty, and if it's even, he's good. If it's odd, we're having a bad time. And game 3 specifically, 3-0 and 2 at 6 minutes in, involved in every kill, you're going to be fine.
Wow. I think that he picked up 1 heart there.
Correct.
Before he got hit, and I think that might have kept him alive.
No, it did. Trust me.
Nice work there for Prime to barely avoid it. And Echrome using the minions well, so he can make that dive happen. Strong play from him there, too.
Hearts, very, very impactful. People underestimate how much healing they will give to you. Just give it a little bit more if you've got the full stacked passive, however. But sometimes it's just hard to get hold of that, and you save it for that moment. It used to consume it, funny enough, but it doesn't anymore. Right. Which is a big difference.
We did a bit of a change like that for a lot of those passives. Figures runes come to mind in that same sort of way, as well as Cupid getting those hearts stacked up. But yeah, you know, I don't think he counts as a healer in Assault Cupid.
No,
you know?
technically no.
You just get those hearts on your side, and they get probably nothing, like an Izanami or something.
Yeah, I think Cupid's one that could like maybe lean that way, but I think a lot of the other healers do way more healing.
If they have a Hell and I have a Cupid, that feels bad. Right?
Yeah, I think a Baron versus a Cupid is relatively Baron's favor though, but still Cupid is fair in that much. I guess Horus versus Cupid. That's where I'm at.
We need another level of tier 2 healer.
That's what I'm saying. I've been discussing with a lot of people in Assault just lately regarding healers, and like there should be tiers to the healers. Assault is the real game mode, I'm just saying.
It is a lot of fun. I'm right there
I want
with
a ranked version.
you. No, we don't want that.
Why?
Because it's all RNG. It's for casual fun.
No!
That's what
it's
makes the
gambling.
game.
That's what it is then. It's ability plus gambling. That's a win. That's poker.
Red buff
That is
invade
poker.
being looked at by Outcold. FrostiaK takes to the sky, finds nothing with the ultimate dunk down, but still gets the beads out from Echrome. That's a solo ultimate onto Prime for Markus, and he has to use his own bead to disengage. But in comes FrostiaK, healthy, looking for damage. Can't find much. And Outcold still considering an invade attempt.
Yeah, they're still looking for this red buff, and Markus goes in for it because he knew he had Asti with the Khepri res. But now Breez and Frosty could have potentially punished there. Frosty found that double tap. I think Markus could have been dead. Talking about dead, Dimi's dead again.
Wow. This has been rough over here for Dimi on the right-hand side. Red buff was successfully invaded by Outcold, and they make it back out scot-free. But Terrorem getting 2 solo kills in this Amaterasu, that is going to hurt.
I feel like we need a split screen up on the right-hand side or something for the whole time of this solo lane to see where these kills are coming from and how Terrorem's...
Did you ever think you'd
having
say
an easy
that?
time.
Give me a split screen so I can watch
Watch
Dimi
Dimi
get
die.
solo. Yeah, that just never, you don't see it that
undying
often.
Dimi, right? Won 2 world championships, known as one of the least dying players.
Well, that was his claim to fame, right? Was that he could go almost the whole game without getting any backup and still manage to at least
Survive.
be pretty relevant. Yeah, it's not this time.
Clearly, Terrorem's got his number with this Osiris now. He just took him a game of warm-up, you know? He had one warm-up game. He's like, okay, now I can handle it.
Sure, but we'll let Dimi have one rough start to a game in what is otherwise an illustrious career.
I was going to say, in fairness, solo lane at this point in time in SMITE, I think you could just sit under your tower the entire time and farm the creeps as they came into it, and you'll still make an impact in the team fights. It doesn't matter that much.
Yes, you're
with the solo.
exactly right. Dimi in some trouble here yet again, but he should make it back under the tier 1. Let's go back if we can. I want to see the second kill that Terrorem was able to find there over Dimi. We might actually have to hold that thought as Breez goes aggressive. Never mind, we're in it. Let's see how this play happens.
So Dimi just low mana, out of position, hit by the tether. Markus dies off screen, by the way. That's not important right now. We knew he was going to die there. Instead, it's just Dimi didn't know what to do here. He was just trying to buy as much time as possible, I guess, and Terrorem run him down like a dog.
Nice kill. Mr. Stefan ends up falling as well. So they got 2 on this fight on the left-hand side here for
That was a weird
Outcold.
fight, too.
Not bad at all. This is another case where Horizon Union might be stepping a little bit too far forward and getting punished. Looks like Outcold couldn't come back towards Gold Fury, though, on the back of that. So Horizon Union don't lose too much.
Yeah, this is awkward. Some of these fights... Could Dimi stop getting soloed so we can catch the rest of the action? That's the issue we're having here. Echrome forced to use the ultimate here. Asti still getting aggressive against 4. I don't like this play from him. He's too far forward. What's the game plan there? I don't see the reason for it.
He does use the ultimate on himself at least stay alive, but onto the backside comes FrostiaK, hammers in and gets that kill. Dimi is on his way to this fight too, but there will be a dead bear and a dead baby when he arrives.
Terrorem.
That's not a good look.
Give credit where it's due. Oh no, Markus going to go down to Spudio's in. Hands to Spudio really doing work. Now going to rewind and Terrorem's in trouble.
But Mr. Stefan's going to be right there for where Spudio ends up rewinding to. They do find Terrorem for a double kill for Spudio. The body blocks are almost enough, but FrostiaK gets the kill onto Mr. Stefan.
Credit to Asti there. I just fired shots at him going, what's he doing there? Well, he knew he had Terrorem rotating over from solo lane. He just went a little bit too early. He ends up dying for it. But by him hanging around, it allowed Terrorem to get into the fray and find a pick or 2. It's still not going to be enough to turn this game around, though, as after that, you still saw the engagement onto Spudio, where he still picked up kills.
Yeah, Terrorem saw the same replay that we saw.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, if that's, or not Terrorem, but Astyaniax, and he says, that's how Terrorem's playing, then we want that man involved in some fights. And he forces one basically to happen and give Terrorem a chance to rotate in an impact.
A little bit surprised by the Nemean line coming out from Terrorem as well here. Yeah, sure, physical defense is good, but Cupid's kind of an awkward ability-based hunter for the most part. He's not really going to be firing as many auto attacks or focal points as you think. His attack speed, he's got some stim in his kit in terms of leveling it as he gets the dash up. But the problem is that he's just not the same sort of level as like a Rama, right, in terms of the attack speed. So why go for Nemean here? You could have just gone for a physical option like breastplate or something, give yourself a little bit cooldown reduction too. I think it's a missed window there. Instead, he's gone for the double thorns idea. This only really works if there's crit involved, and I don't know if we're going to see much crit this game.
He's going to be sitting on top of PrettyPriMe and Spudio trying to slow them down. I don't know if it'll be enough, but time will tell at this point. And maybe even it's a bit for Dimi as well. He'll be in there swinging some auto attacks. So we'll see how well that works out as Breez does help get Astyaniax down to about half HP with Frost's help. But FrostiaK goes back to the sky because Spudio was looping on the backside. They want more, but FrostiaK can't find much with the Anvil of Dawn. Hammer does come through as well
Ooh,
as the
that hurt.
wall, and that forces Markus back to the grave. Spudio was there.
Not only that, he also got the beads at the tail end of that wall too, which is even more punishing, and now Outcold on the march down mid. And Terrorem, who's very strong right now, may need to ult away.
He has Lord of the Afterlife, but they put down the Fields of Love, not just to get
man.
Echrome, but to deter Terrorem from jumping away.
Man.
The stun lands too, and finally the Lord of the Afterlife has to come out, but Spudio rewinds right back towards Mr. Stefan.
Yeah, but Stefan, no, with
What?
no flicker, and now the heart bomb on him too. Asti will at least get the ultimate off.
He still had that?
But they'll just wait and waste it off on this left-hand side and still be able to dive him if they want to.
A really strong fight here from Outcold. This has been a back-and-forth game, unlike games 1 and 2, which I felt like were pretty one-sided. But this time, Outcold come out on top handily by getting 3 for nothing really in their favor. But still, no Gold Furies or anything like that taken.
No, because it's all about action. Well, you know Gold Fury is down, but objective-wise, Tier 1's down in mid and left-hand side, and now a Gold Fury.
There we go.
If you're not getting the Gold Fury on neutral objective, at least get towers, and that's what they've been able to do so far.
Now they will add this Gold Fury to the list of accolades for them, which pushes their lead up to close to 6,000,
insane.
5,600, but a 7K experience lead is pretty big as well.
That fight in mid lane, though, where the Fields of Love came down from PrettyPriMe to the Tier 2, that's the worst situation for the Osiris to be in, because he's like, damn, I'm surrounded by 4 targets, can just ult back to my tower line. Oh, wait, there's a Fields of Love waiting. I'm going to have to wait for that to detonate first before I can disengage. And not only that, he lost a teammate while that was going on.
A nice play, and you were talking about Cupids and how sometimes it doesn't feel quite as strong as some of these other picks, but I think that when you can get big Fields of Love like that, there's variance. I think that's what it is, right? And so far, Prime has managed that variance well. And I don't always think Hunters have been a strong part of Prime's pool. He has a wide mage pool, but I don't know about these Hunters, but he has shown us here that Cupid's in it.
In this season, if you're a mid lane player, you've got to be able to play both.
That's true.
Just the way it is now. There's more flexibility. Same can be said for other roles, though. Solo lane, you've got to have your Guardians there. You've got to have your solo lane Warriors available to you. And now and again, flex to the Assassins and Mages even.
Yep, Hunter's got to be able to play Assassins and Mages too.
Exactly. And then supports, you've got to be able to play Assassin. Everyone's going to be able to play the Assassin. Except a jungler who could just run a Guardian and do the same thing.
Yeah, or a Warrior. Yeah, everyone has to be able to play an Assassin except for your jungler. What a world we're in here now, huh?
You don't have to run an Assassin in the jungle, do you? It's great, but you could get that farm elsewhere.
They'll grab the Tier 1 tower over in the solo lane. Horizon Union now setting up for a defense on the Tier 2 tower. They got to keep an eye towards the sky, though. FrostiaK hasn't always hit with the Anvil of Dawn, but he'll at the least use it to reposition.
Been involved in 11 kills in 15 minutes. You can't complain about a Thor like this, and hasn't died too. Working on the Transcendence for even more cooldown reduction. That'll put them to about 30% at this point in time once that's stacked up. And then also investing into a little bit of a Magi's Cloak I'm expecting here, which I think will be very useful when you look at the CC chains they've got available. They're kind of limited.
FrostiaK wants to fight Asti and Terrorem in some trouble. He'll just settle for Terrorem, who's been rooted. That forces out the Scarab's Blessing and the Lord of the Afterlife out from Terrorem and from Asti, so not a bad little engage there for Outcold as now they threaten the Tier 2.
Up to Markus to come in here and try and make a turnaround play with this Blink. Has he got Blink? No, he doesn't. He's level 12, but not got his Relic available on this Batz.
They stalled enough. They stalled enough for Terrorem to be able to get that ultimate or the teleport off to make it into the fight, but Dimi has already found Asti. Terrorem falls as well for a double kill now for Dimi. Markus made his way in. Overhand smash gets a 1, but now he's low. The wall is there, and Spudio takes care of him. That's 3-1 in favor of Outcold.
Markus just took too long trying to get into that fight at the tail end. Also, we just mentioned the Relic situation for him. He didn't have his Blink. He had Blink available, but he'd not bought it yet was the issue. He'd not been back to base, and that window
just
was
level 12.
Yes, sir.
That hurts a lot, I'd imagine, for Markus on this Unbots. And now Outcold taking a look towards the Fire Giant. Mr. Stefan certainly has steal potential, as does Echrome. But let's see how well they end up getting zoned back out without Breez's presence. They're just going to drop it. They're going to go for the fight instead and take it to the sky as Frosty.
Echrome doesn't have his ultimate. Neither does the boy Stefan, but he will at least juke out the ultimate, not the spin to win.
Not bad, huh? The ultimate still gets you over there, even if we can't find the actual dunk. And FrostiaK gets his 8th kill of the game. But I think Horizon Union did their job.
Yeah.
Fire Giant still stands.
It's one of those places where Echrome and Stefan know one of them was probably going to die, but if we don't lose the Fire Giant by doing that, it's still a small win for us. It's not a huge... In the grand scheme of the game, though, it's not a good look anyway. They're just so far behind in farm and experience. The level discrepancies are getting more so. The duo lane and Stefan versus Spudio, it's a 3-level gap there. We just mentioned the jungle situation. That's a 3-level gap too. Experience is really important. Items do come into play, but levels just give you so much value in terms of base stats and damage output.
Yeah, a 3-level lead's like an item. You know, difference
more
between
than an item, for sure.
it really is, man. I mean, it's more than an item because no one item is that efficient in terms of the stats that it provides. Truly. So that it does impact a lot here for Outcold, and also they were a real actual item ahead in most of their roles as well, as the tier 2 in mid is taken.
Notice this game is the one where Dimi got killed twice, solo, by the way, and yet they're still in this much of a lead, you know? I'm not trying to put discredit on Dimi there. I'm just trying to say, like, the solo lane didn't really matter in this case. Even though Terrorem did everything he could in the early game, he's still 3-3-3. He's still 2 levels behind that of Amaterasu because Horizon Union fell apart elsewhere on the map.
And to your point, I don't know how much this Nemean has deterred Outcold, especially in a game where everyone's going to be relatively even to you in level. As you mentioned earlier, I know the idea is to try and slow down Spudio and Prime, but it hasn't quite worked.
Well, it's not going to really slow down Spudio that much because, you know, it's about physical damage that you take, and you're not taking physical from those. It's magical. Thorns and Nemean are great, but it's good against crit compositions. Cupid's not really someone that generally always goes for crit. He likes to go for power and pen more than anything else. And then we already mentioned Spudio's playing a Chronos, so that's not really going to be there in the crit options either. I think that build could have been invested elsewhere and made more of an impact.
Primal Fury belongs now to Outcold as they go up 12,000 gold. Game 1,
pretty good.
Pretty much a stomp in Outcold's favor. Game 2, pretty much a stomp in Horizon Union's favor. And it looks like that pattern's going to continue. And because we play odd-numbered sets, that's going to favor Outcold here at this one, as they are in commanding control right now in Game 3.
Definitely always the case, though, with the best of threes. The team that wins the first game definitely has a leg up the entire series for the rest of it. Because not only do they only have to win 1 more, the other team's got to win 2 more.
It's a difficult climb up to try and do if you're on the side of Horizon Union. Fire Giant now being considered by Outcold, and looks like Horizon Union are not going to come out and contest with this one. Is that the right call here?
I don't know. I think Markus might still go for this, but I think he's got a minion wave to deal with first. He's going to give away his position. I don't think he can now then. It was really only Markus with a Fear No Evil that could have been in the option they could look to try and throw in and steal away, especially when his 2 carries are both trying to farm up on the left-hand side.
Breez is going to continue the aggression, level 13 as opposed to Markus's 15, and he's starting to chunk a good bit, really with only, cooldown boots.
Echrome should have taken that tier 2 on the left-hand side there. He hesitated for quite a while trying to decide if he wanted to back or wait around. That was a guaranteed tier 2 time on the left-hand side. It's one of those calls where when you're playing the game, it's a hard one to read. If your team's asking you to go back, they had no minion wave there on the right-hand side Outcold gaming, so they couldn't really look for that Phoenix. I think it was a missed opportunity for some extra bonus gold for the team that's very much needed at this moment in time.
Not just that, but opening up a potential win condition. I mean, we're still a little bit too early for that. But, you know, having that Phoenix fully exposed on the left-hand side, a little bit of less HP on the Titan, all could matter. If you only are going to be able to win 1 fight, you know, you want that fight to matter for as much as possible. So there could be some knock-on effects there if that was a drop to tier 2.
Outcold gaming, though, today. Game 2, you know, we could just kind of pretend that didn't happen, you know.
Outcold would like to.
I think they came in game 1, they came in hot game 1, and they put a stomp down on Horizon Union, and Horizon Union responded. And that's kind of all you can hope for from Horizon Union, who are a team that have been working hard to gather steam, gather momentum through this year, made roster changes for the betterment of their team. You can see the increase in potential, especially when, like we said, week 3 in Phase 2. Outcold did this 2-0 very quickly.
Outcold has improved, so has Horizon Union, but this is such a critical Phoenix defense for Horizon Union. They're down so much. I mean, not even 3 items there for Asti. It's such a difficult task to try and hold on to here. But they do have a Merlin. They have the Fear No Evil. Yeah. They've got some tools that can maybe make it happen.
But FrostiaK on Thor, and Thor is a big issue when it comes to Phoenix defenses. He's going to lead the charger for a second, and there is that Frosty ult.
Wow, the left side Phoenix is already gone. 2-man wall, and Mr. Steffen's now half health. Markus wants to try and fight a way in for free, but I doubt he can afford to take this bop. Look at that. Spudio had the stun there just in case he did teleport to it.
And I think those hearts are actually healing for about 250, 300 right now as well. So the damage poke that Horizon Union ate for a second with the Fire Giant regen 2, it won't last long, so they're all back to full health already. And then you still got Amaterasu, and Breez blinking in.
2-man stun, Frenzy popped as well. Outcold gaming already to kick things off. Dimi using the dazzling offensive away in the back line. Frosty looking for Echrome as well. Aegis buys him time, but Frosty has beads and is able to make his way back out. Horizon Union tuck their tail between their legs and run all the way back to the fountain.
And they do that because they have no other option. The Phoenix is down, and immediately Outcold just runs straight to the right side and go whack away at it without minions.
This is the best fight they can hope for, and even still, Markus gets blown up. Spudio finds the first kill. Frosty dunks onto 2, and they stun 2 more on the backside for a triple kill. Now for Spudio as Echrome ends up falling. Terrorem's in some trouble way on the back line, trying to live the best he can. That's a quadra kill now for Spudio as they take down Terrorem. Mr. Stefan, I think winning the game is out of the picture. At the very least, just don't give up the penta.
I tell you what, if Breez had Blink available right then, he would have Blink stunned, and I think they could have looked for a penta kill. Won't be the case, but Spudio just keeps getting quadras, man. Quadra after quadra after triple after quadra. He's a big player.
Well, as long as you're winning, I doubt Spudio will be complaining about it too much, but of course you'd love if you could convert a few more of those into the actual pentas. But Outcold show up in a big way here in this set. They get hit on the chin in game 2, but they bounce back.
And I think that's the key. Outcold coming into the set, you'd expect them to win this, especially with the spot possibly available from the placement stage.
Yeah.
But at the same time, Horizon Union gave as good as they got there. They could have put on a good performance in game 2, but then compositions and execution came into play for game 3. Spudio getting hold of that Chronos is not something I want to see again.
Not if you're rooting for the other team, man. It's going to be so difficult to try and stop Outcold when he has this pick. You got to keep Prime's Cupid in the back of your mind, too, because he had a monster performance on it with those Fields of Love. It's not always going to show up in the damage department, but that cripple field, the stuns that could potentially come out from it, those are huge.
Yeah, and I do think Markus as well for the other team, he has a lot of issues in the jungle where he plays through his performance at the start of the game, and it kind of feeds on from there. He's got to adjust that as time goes on.
Get used a little bit to maybe having some rough starts could be the case. Outcold grab the win, and they stay in contention for that spot in placement weeks. But the minor league is absolutely not done yet. We've got more coming for you in just a few minutes.